Okay, RKO Pictures.
Hello, people out there.
We might have terrible audio now because it may be
Current viewers.
going into many,
All right.
into many different devices. There shouldn't be even that many, but okay. We can hear you. All right.
Incredible. Hello.
Incredible. Okay. They missed the whole Bechtel test.
It's all right. We were just warming up.
I'm actually looking for one of you guys to come on camera if I can share with you the Zoom link. That's kind of the only thing that I really want to test today. It's the only kind of goal, I guess, if you will. So if I can just figure out how to share the Zoom link,
Hop on.
then I will see if we can do that. I wonder what would happen if somebody. This is kind of crazy, but does anybody want to try face?
I think it comes. Everybody has their own point where they call themselves a writer. I think by the base definition of I have written something, so I'm a writer. I did a lot of writing in college, but I wouldn't say that I'm a writer in the way that you talk about it. I have written.
That's why
I've written shorts.
My situation. That
Yeah.
I'm a storyteller.
You're a storyteller.
I'm a writer.
I've always
I
felt
write.
like storyteller was a good word
Right.
because I like telling stories. I like making people laugh. I like building the suspense.
Yeah, because to me, and I'm not, trying to sound grandiose or anything like that, but the people who've gone before us, the great writers,
Mhm.
the great creators of content, they own that. So we're trying to, just imitate them.
Mhm.
Like the great cinematographers, the great producers, the great filmmakers.
We want to evoke their images.
That is shrinking down because, nowadays the studios are, okay, what can we repop? They buy all these things.
What franchise can we bring back to life?
Exactly. And it's like,
Then it's only just got Tarzan.
please, it's like, can you come up with anything original?
I guess not.
No, they don't want to because it's too much work.
Yeah.
And say, okay, what do we have in the library? We have this one. Okay, who owns we own the sequel rights?
Barely, you're the audio.
So
I mean,
let's do 5 sequels and then we'll spin it off to whatever.
Yeah. I mean, if you're sitting in the boardroom and they're saying, do we take a risk on a new project or make another of this franchise that we know we can keep going that is much more likely to make
Because
money?
they look at the bottom line.
Yeah.
That's all they look at.
Yeah.
These guys are
I'm gonna
they're
add-
bean counters, they have no clue.
I would say that I've always felt more drawn to the art rather than the business side, but I think I've realized that you just have to learn everything.
I came from a business world, so and I produced, so the business side is one. It's very important because that's you're holding everything together. But I'm very drawn to the creative side.
Do you consider yourself an artist? And to you too.
Well, if you can, writing, I think this is absolutely an art because you're MFA and all that. You get that.
Yeah.
I didn't go to film school.
Yeah.
I went to hotel school. I was a hotelier for years.
I got one of those corners.
But
I think we got to get the audio
I guess so.
set up
But
here. So I'm
in
gonna try
a
to see if this
traditional
will work.
sense, artist, or painting, or drawing, I'm not.
Mhm.
I can fake myself around
Yeah.
I can edit if I need to.
Hey, is the audio any better this way? Let's see.
Hello, people. Now people now. Ooh, but not,
We don't want. I mean, I'm trying to tell everybody that there's nothing special going on here today, but I'm hoping to get someone on Zoom, and I thought I saw Carrie in the waiting room.
Come on down.
In meeting as spectator, activate camera, and Andrew. Okay,
Yeah.
let's see. This is what we're here for. Let's see if I activate their camera. Oh, we've got. I think we have Carrie.
Oh.
Carrie, can we hear you? This is why we're here, is to test if this works or not. So if we could hear your audio, we will have a successful
You have 2
day.
of me.
Oh, I don't hear you, but I don't know how I'm going to do that. So I'm a fairly decent lip reader, so I can kind of hear what you're saying or understand what you're saying.
Can
But
you hear us?
I'm trying subtitles.
Just say
Here I
yes.
go again.
I'm just going to read her lips. I can't hear. Let me see.
Can you nod if you hear us?
Yeah.
I'm looking at the Zoom, and there's 3 open
I'm
boxes,
looking at YouTube. I'm just focusing on our lips right here. No.
and one of them is like seconds behind me. I'm in 2 meetings or 2.
Yeah. I'll just have to
Can you
get. Let me
see
see if
that?
it's. Let me see if it's actually. There was one of the. I think Andrew was here too. Maybe I can try his camera and see if it works.
The audio
Let me
is
see if-
checked on the bottom, maybe? Or is it? No, on the screen. You know, when you go on,
Andrew.
the audio is slashed through.
Hi, this is Andrew.
Can't see.
Let's try Andrew. Hey, there's Andrew. Andrew. Hello.
Hi.
Oh, great. I say you said hi. We just don't have audio. What is wrong with me?
Andrew.
There's a lot to answer that question.
Hello.
I
say you said hi.
I guess maybe it's going to be coming through the TV if we hear.
Yeah.
I would love to hear what you're saying, Andrew, but I have to go because I can't figure it out yet. So let me see. I think it's going to be the same. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we tried. Hold on.
It's gotta be you know what I'm talking about on the computer the audio?
Oh yeah, it could be like is the audio on the computer disabled.
No, that's up. But
No, on the screen itself.
let me just think about this realistically. Like, where would we expect the audio to come from?
Maybe it could be something within the browser.
Yeah, in the browser if you.
Like if you scroll over the video, does it have that like volume thing?
Oh, right there.
Right
See?
there.
Oh shit.
In the browser.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Now we can actually hear
We're tech
you.
experts.
It's gonna be quite delayed, but I think we can get somebody now.
Oh, wow.
Oh shit. There's Michael.
Wait, the delay's about to end.
Oh, wow.
It's gonna start again.
Okay.
You're gonna want.
Yeah.
Geniuses, right?
It's just gonna echo.
Yeah, that's. Well,
Yeah, I'm not really sure how to
okay.
escape the echo.
Yeah,
I'm working here.
I think that's.
So what is it?
Well, it was good. It was good. It's good to see you, Michael.
Comedy.
It's good to see you.
Headsets or something.
Michael B.
Yeah,
Jordan
we
did
did
this
hear you.
infamous video where he compared a woman's private parts to milk. Yeah, you can look it up, Michael B. Jordan and milk.
Oh, it's
Michael.
already happened.
Yeah, he's yeah.
Would you?
So I based off.
Do you
based
have,
off facts where I made my movie.
Do you have FaceTime,
It's
Michael?
about finding like.
Are you
the
able to-
trademark.
Just a milkman.
No, it's just about like finding whoever you fall in love with, just be with them regardless of race. You know
Do you want to? Do you want to FaceTime me or give me your if you want to
They
FaceTime?
just focus so much on the differences.
Let me see what my settings are on here.
Like he was caught, I guess, in Italy with these, non-black women, and they were threatening to boycott Black Panther at the time.
Can
So
you?
he made that
Oh, you don't have
video.
FaceTime. You don't have an iPhone. You're on Android, aren't you?
They were threatening to boycott Black Panther.
Yeah.
Because
He was caught with non-black women
he was okay.
and on vacation.
Okay.
Like, there's like,
That's true.
No, there are definitely people.
I met his sister, and she got into him early on before
yeah.
not very much of it. Because when I wrote, it's called Green Street. It's an African American Wall Street drama that I wrote. It's based on a true story. I wanted him, and she read it, and she was like, I can't. He's already in the pipeline. They won't let him read anything outside.
Yeah.
Hey, here we go. Let me see.
Like, this is
I have a manager, so I let him do all that nonsense because
Hey, Michael.
I did that for so long.
Yeah, I'm still doing
Yeah,
that.
this works, except that I thought you had FaceTime. You just have your audio. We don't have you on video.
Yeah, I don't have FaceTime. I have the Samsung Android one version.
Anybody on FaceTime? Okay, well, cool. Well, let me let you go, but then I'm going to see if there's anybody here in the chat that has FaceTime. Thanks, Michael. I appreciate you. Thank you. Yeah, that's going to be a thing.
Wait, Mike.
Obviously, even if you have anything smooth streaming as such.
Wait, who's Mike? How's Mike Bone in this chat? That makes no sense.
Huh?
That guy just said Mike Bone. I know that guy.
You do?
Yeah, Mike Bone is my friend's dad.
Mike Bone is your friend's dad?
Yeah, he was in LA. That's weird. The guy Jarrell Damon said,
Storytelling can be verbal versus
how do you know Mike?
the written word. Exactly.
Huh.
It is now. So it's a feature that you wrote on,
Yeah.
on that one particular.
Just that one thing, I made a whole feature surrounding it.
That's
Like,
alright.
I even put it in the script, like, so people would get where.
So you obviously you would like him to.
Oh no, I don't think he can play that role
What's the
anymore.
meeting ID for
You
Zoom?
think so?
He's too big now. This is like a
It's two.
$3 to $5 million budget. Yeah,
3 to 5.
It's very.
They bump it up. I mean, they'll bump it up.
How many people want to play it, even though it's based on him? Like it'd be weird for him to actually like,
Yeah.
you
But
know.
honestly, like, there's a lot of good actors.
Well, you can allude to it, and which I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Do you,
The-
do you say his name even?
The character's name is Jordan Michaels.
Sorry.
I didn't.
Jordan D. Michaels.
No, I just put Jordan Michaels. I left that in the initial, but like people are gonna, they're gonna look up the videos themselves and
Yeah.
realize, wow.
Yeah.
Like he'll probably see it as like, oh, they did me dirty. I'm like, no, dude, you just fun.
And you're a public person.
Yeah, you're.
It's
all
good
public
to
domain.
go, man.
You're all public domain. I don't think people realize that.
Did you see this new Marilyn Monroe movie, Blondie?
You know what? Last night I almost it was too late for me because I had to get up at 5. But that's like the next couple of days. Check it out.
That's definitely gonna be a polarizing one. It's Netflix's first NC-17 movie. It's weird as hell too. You saw it?
I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Oh, you
Everyone that I know either really likes it or
too
really
much.
hates
Too
it.
much.
It's torture porn as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, it's torture porn.
Like you're just watching.
It's what part of her life?
They're showing the whole her
The
life.
entire life.
From childhood to
Entire life, yeah.
But the cinematography is incredible. Like I
Who's
can't
speaking
speak
on? Who's directing?
Somebody European.
I'm gonna be honest, I
Is that
think,
right?
Yeah.
Shot in Europe?
He shot it here.
Yeah, I think it was fun.
I should know this because a friend of our family, she was his prom date.
Marilyn Monroe's.
His prom date. They have a picture together.
Oh, Gene. Wow.
Gene Baker.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this guy's 80. David's 90 now.
He started talking. I was like, nah. I almost stopped the movie at that point. But
He was doing too much.
the scene where there's like a sex scene that ends, and as it ends, she's like holding onto the side of the bed, and it turns into Niagara Falls, and it's you know the shot. Like,
Yeah, I know.
that part, like, I was like, what?
It's a brilliant transition.
All right, come on in.
it's not meant to be official.
You can
You're meant to
us.
do- you're meant to do the switching though, Grace.
What?
You're meant to do the switching between the
You sent me
cameras.
to the grocery store.
Well, I know.
It's me, you.
Chase
Mom.
did this cinematography.
Who did?
Chaser.
Oh, Chaser.
Hey,
How are you?
see you. How you doing? How is everything?
Good.
Good.
Hello.
Mommy,
Holly loves me.
you want me to cook or you want me to switch?
I don't know. Switch for a little bit so we can have a little bit of actual conversation and then we'll all just eat offline maybe and get to know each other.
Okay, let me put the grocery.
Because we figured out Zoom video, but we basically don't have audio, so I'm going to reconvene with Kieran and get the audio squared away. I don't think we can do that because we don't have all the audio set up here, I think, to make it work. But I think everybody has to have a lav mic, and then maybe like an ear pod or something like that. Or
Do you have
whatever.
the lavaliers?
I do have those, but they.
Do you want it to be more raging for this?
No, I'm gonna let it die down. I'm gonna let
We'll
it
edit
die.
it in
The only thing that I can figure out is
I'll
that.
fix it in post.
You guys want to?
Hi Grace, Jason. Hi Grace.
Water, please.
You got on camera, so.
I'm okay, thank you.
Okay, I was on camera.
Well, we're live, so we're
I
streaming.
didn't know you were live.
Oh, you wouldn't have said something otherwise, right?
I didn't comment at all.
So I think we're good on Zoom.
Yeah. Someone shouted at the dog. That's funny.
Yeah, Holly.
Hey, dogs are great.
Holly's a bitch. Yeah, I have to see this movie because in previous life, a friend of mine called me. He worked for AFI, and he said we're doing a panel discussion. Leonard Maltin, you know who Leonard Maltin is?
No.
He's a film critic. He's done a million things. He's got to be up there.
Yeah.
Just come on in. You don't like to be on camera? You like
You know what I feel?
There's water, sparkling. This is beer.
He's got it there.
I'll actually take a beer.
Sure. Yeah.
Beer.
There's Jay. Hey, Jay.
Jamal.
Welcome.
Beer.
Oh no, I'm okay, thank you.
That was good.
I can see her fast right here, but
We're about
but it's gonna be a delay right
6
there.
seconds,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm talking about. Okay. This is interesting.
There she is.
This is interesting.
How are
I can
you?
see her fast. All right. Yeah, we can see her both here. Yeah. Okay. So do we have you on audio though? We don't have you on audio. Actually, we do here, right?
Yeah, where's the...
Yeah.
How did we get rid of that yellow
I
thing?
think also the problem is I think it would be less of a delay if this isn't connected to.
Yeah.
This needs to. Actually, I can do that.
The only problem is if we can hear that all of these would need to be muted or it's gonna start echoing again.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
Is there a way you can do that on the app though, is to mute all of them at once?
There is. I can actually do that. They were doing that. I think Kim was doing that last time. It's just putting everyone down except for the one speaking.
Your head.
Like muting all of them except for the one speaking. No.
I hear her. Oh, right there.
There should be a little white.
Wanna go ahead?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Thanks. And then there should be a little white connection for the Ethernet. Oh, it's in my pocket. Look at that. Right where it should be.
So a friend of mine calls me one day and he says, we're doing a panel discussion. Leonard Maltin is, look him up.
I wonder if that will help.
He was on TV for many, many, many years. He's written several books on movies. He's a big critic.
All right. Now, if I do every video audio down, you're saying, except for the person speaking. So we're going to have Jay speak if she can hear us, and turn down everyone else's audio except for Jay's. Else's audio except for Jay's.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Else's audio except for Jay's.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Else's audio except for Jay's.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Else's audio except for Jay's.
Can you hear me?
Else's audio except for Jay's.
Abstract that don't have as much of a narrative, then you might like it. It's
I,
definitely.
I go back a few years. Blue
Okay.
Velvet was
We're
kind of
going
like
to
that.
go back
Remember
to-
Blue Velvet?
That's what Michelle Williams, right?
No, that was with Isabella Rossellini and what's his name? From Easy Rider. Jeez. Dennis Hopper. It
Dennis
was
Hopper.
30 years ago,
Okay.
man,
I'm
before you guys were born.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm actually 35.
Alright.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I thought you were like my age.
Look up Blue Velvet.
Oh,
Blue
Jesus.
Velvet was
What'd you
very.
say?
He was like he was a voyeur.
Yeah.
I thought you were like late 20s was my guess.
I get it all. I appreciate it.
okay. I can use this beer. I'm gonna relax. I don't think we can do much else. You know, so.
If you close that, you probably.
I don't think I need to hear that. They can hear us, so I'm gonna turn off the audio here too.
Okay.
Not sponsored content.
Yeah.
We're not.
San Pellegrino is sponsoring this segment.
Covering his label real quick, you know.
Did you look up the Favreau's old shows, Chris, that I was telling you about last time?
Yeah.
Did you like it?
Yeah. Well, I got exactly. I'd actually seen it. Hold on a second.
Yeah. I want you. Okay.
But other than that, we're done. I'm gonna say.
How long have you two known each other?
We just met.
Since the last live session, through this, just doing this.
Oh,
I made it a point to just basically bring in people from the channel that I've never met before and start this way. You know what I mean?
And he's
So
he invited me back because he hates me, so.
yeah. He talked my ear off last time. I said I have another ear, so I promised him my other ear.
yeah, you gotta be
And
honest.
you know.
You said you wanted to talk, so.
Yeah. Why don't we? So we're done. We're just gonna talk a little bit on camera.
Okay.
And then we'll all eat and barbecue together, whatever. And then I'll figure out Zoom, and I'll probably just have to have my helpers do it, and they'll train me probably on it. But yeah, tell everybody about Greed Street. Like, give us really the rundown on Greed Street, because we did say we were going to talk about that specifically, right?
Sure.
Please.
Greed Street is based on a true story of a friend of mine who was an African American, Harvard educated undergrad and grad school, went into finance, Wall Street, private firms, worked there for 6 or 7 years, rising star, and one day he stumbled onto some accounts that he wasn't supposed to apparently. And
He was a forensic accountant. That was his thing? Okay.
well,
Sort of, or?
He was an amateur forensic accountant. He kind of went into, it didn't make sense, and he dug a little deeper, and he brought it to the attention of the CEO, and they turned the table on him. Apparently, found their piggy bank, and for many, many years they were skimming from the top.
So that's the premise of it, right? But is the action of it actually true?
No,
it's just like gunshots. It's like an action movie.
It
Like,
is.
really? Like
It opens up.
the guy who's shot and he's like his last words and scrawling it in the ground. That's fiction, no?
A little bit of fiction.
Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, obviously it has to be like everything based on a true story.
I wasn't
But
there.
there was
And
real-
he wasn't.
Real threat of death and real all of that in this guy's true
Actually,
story.
Yeah.
Wow.
He
Wow.
was. They were after him, and he barely made it out of the office. And,
Oh, it just happens in one day.
Well, not one day, but in the very, very beginning, opens up on Wall Street, and then he doesn't know what to do, who to believe. They shut down his accounts. His girlfriend won't talk to him. They told him, he's under investigation. He's this, he's that. Goes to his house. And he lived on Park Avenue, and very unlike.
Oh, yeah.
And he's. I like to see him not as a likable person at first. He's a very driven guy, cocky. Like the Wall Street type. And
John David Washington will be good too.
These kind of shows.
John David Washington, Denzel Washington's son, he'll be good too.
Oh yeah, he would be fantastic.
Yeah.
So I love those. Those are about the kind of movies I like to watch. But is there anything? Is you say it's like a not run of the mill, but like another just basically good action movie? Is there something special or different, or something you would like to do in a different way with this that would make it stand out from that genre, or you just want to play into that genre like as the formula?
It will stand out. I like to concentrate a little bit more on the music as well.
Okay. I love great soundtracks.
I like to see this as a music drama because this. So he.
Also, you come from that world a little bit too, right? You know some of those connections.
But he doesn't know what to do. He has no one. His parents were killed in a plane crash, and a few years before, and he's he can't use his credit cards. He has a few.
He's got to go off the grid, right?
So he goes underground, and he ends up in Harlem, and he looks up his cousin. He's trying to find his cousin who he hasn't seen since his parents' side, and he finds him and he shows up at his place, and the guy's in a crap hole.
But why music driven? You started by saying music driven. What?
Well,
just
because he says I need to go underground until I figure out who's been trying to set me up.
Right.
And so his cousin's like, oh hey, I'll help you out, whatever. And he gets him a job as a janitor in a club that he's trying to be a comedian, but he's really a buyback, and he's like, cleans and does everything, and he has like 4 or 5 different jobs. He's across the road.
How do you keep the story from getting too far away from the main core?
Because it's pretty much contained. 90%.
Okay.
From then on, 90% of the story is within the club.
Okay.
Within the characters of the club.
Okay.
The owner of the club is Dylan, who's a great jazz R&B musician, struggling because he's borrowed money from Loan Sharks. And
You're like, he's like, I know this recipe.
Is a couple girls and an accountant. You know, they're beautiful girls. And one is, later we find out that she's a good singer, but she's very shy. She doesn't want to go on stage, and that there's some relationship with the club owner. And this is coming from the cousin. The cousin kind of feeds him the info a little bit.
Right.
And then they get too deep. He's still trying to figure out who's trying to set him up, and he's reaching back to people at the farm. And
But again, what's the time period over which this all occurs? You said a day, but it wasn't a day. So when he's trying to find it out, is he being hunted for a day, a week, a month?
Well, it took almost 6 months.
6 months.
Yeah.
And you tell all 6 months, or do you pick like a few of those important days? Okay.
Important. Yeah.
Okay.
So what happened to you? Is your friend now? How's he doing?
Well, in the story, the real story, he goes into a witness protection program, and everyone goes down.
Okay.
They all get put away?
They all
You haven't seen your friend
the
yet?
main guys. One day he said, I'm not going to be here anymore, and that's what happened. And I never saw him again.
Ever? Still haven't seen him?
No, he's passed away now.
Oh, wow.
He died 6 years next month. I was in the hotel business. I came out to LA, and nothing. About 5 or 6 years later, I started getting postcards from Switzerland. Nobody signed it. It was just like, hey, Merry Christmas, Happy Birthday, whatever.
Did he leave a sign that this is me?
No, I didn't. I'm like, I grew up in Europe, and I was like, who do I know who's trying to, why did you sign your name? So it's like, once or twice a year I get this. Like, okay. And then one day he signed his real name.
And then he's
And
What film would you most compare it to? Like, I know a lot of Wall Street movies come to mind, actually, and greed-based
obviously
and
Wall
also
Street
action movies.
is the anchor. But Wall Street meets
In terms of the story
3
structure
Days
and
of
also the way of
Condor.
shooting it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of.
Those are your inspirations for how to structure the story, or?
In a way, a little bit, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a standalone. When you read it, you'll see it's a pretty fast moving script.
sounds amazing.
So who would you like to see direct it, if you could?
F. Gary Gray.
You said F. Gary Gray.
Not because
Who I don't
he's
even know who
a
that
black
is. So
director.
Straight Outta Compton.
I
don't even remember Straight Outta Compton.
Really?
Straight Outta
I
Compton.
should. I mean, I know the
That's the
song.
best
Straight Outta Compton. Like, I know
The
that
Italian
song.
Job.
But there's not. I don't know the movie. I know the Italian Job.
You should watch the movie.
The Mark Wahlberg version of Italian Job.
Yeah, not the
There's an
original
Italian
Italian.
Job.
Yeah, he did that one.
The original. No, and he's a great director. So
Yeah.
I like to see him.
Italian.
Before.
Never saw it. Shoot, I gotta
You
Google
should
it.
watch it.
No, Straight Outta Compton. I haven't seen
Oh,
it.
yeah.
That's a good way.
And then you said Denzel Washington's son is
Yeah,
died.
he would be.
Is he any good? Like, he's got a big shadow. I don't know how he
He
feels
was in
that.
No,
He's in the shadow of his father.
Yeah,
He did a big boost to feel.
That's
I'm mixing my metaphors
He's
here.
on the shark already. Yes.
If you're
But
interested,
he's not horrible.
He's not horrible.
if you're interested in
That's a compliment. That's
I feel
a
like
French
he was
compliment.
very good in that Tenet movie.
Which one?
Tenet, like he was very good in that.
Oh, that's him in Tenet. I didn't even know.
Yeah,
I
that's
like that.
Before,
main character.
he did, what was the big breakout for him?
The Dwayne Johnson The Rock show on HBO.
Oh,
He played comedy
Ballers?
very Ballers, yeah.
Yeah.
He played comedy very
Which
well.
was he on Ballers? That's not
He
Ballers.
was a
One of the football players?
no, he
this-
wasn't
no, no.
He was the main guy that you constantly focus on
Oh.
besides The Rock.
Yeah.
He was
Okay.
the guy. He was competing with another guy because he
Well-
just lost his spot.
I like already that I know things
Oh,
he's
yeah,
been in
Black
without ever
Klansman.
thinking about him
Have you seen-
being.
Have you seen Black Klansman?
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
a cop.
He's amazing.
Black Klansman?
Really? Oh, that was good too.
Damn, I'm getting misses all over here. No, I don't know. I'll get to watch.
I thought that was, I forgot he was in Ballers.
The Black
Um,
Klansman.
that
What
was
was,
a
the,
great
what was
show.
the plot of that one? Maybe I would.
Black Klansman, it's about a sheriff that basically infiltrates the
Oh, I did see that. It was funny as
Yeah,
shit.
with
Yeah.
Adam Driver.
Funny as shit.
It's
Yeah,
based on
yeah,
a true story.
yeah. I pretty much
So
think.
that's
I
why-
think that I'm sure there's not too many movies like that where he actually goes in as a black
It's a
person
true story.
joining the Klan.
Yeah.
It's a true story, yeah.
But I don't even remember like
Well,
why
they-
did they let him in?
I
didn't
actually
they?
never
the
met
writers.
him.
I
Yeah.
met the writers at a
They-
screening, and
Oh, you did?
these two guys, and they wrote the script based
That's
off of
ridiculous.
these interviews with the real guy.
That's
And
ridiculous.
then the movie got picked up by Jordan Peele's company, and then it got picked up by Spike Lee, and you can kind of see the layers in it. But I really like that movie.
Yeah.
Tell me,
Yeah.
hold on a second. How did he actually get in? How did he
They
infiltrate?
never met him.
Well, they
They
used
talked to
Adam Driver. He like was
Oh,
doing
that's right. But
correspondence
he was
with
like
them,
had the other
and
person
then
go in
yeah,
for
yeah.
him.
And then Adam
Oh,
Driver
that's
had his whole
right.
arc because he's like half Jewish, I think,
That's
or
right.
he was like
That's not a new movie. That's been out a while. I think I have seen that.
2018, yeah.
2018.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not
That's
that
one
bad.
for screenwriting, didn't it?
Yeah.
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 Screenwriting. Yeah.
I liked it.
He's
All right.
good.
So I like, and then the cousin is a great character as well. It's a comedian. It's a Chris Rock would be great. I had an idea when this whole thing with Will Smith and everything. I said Will Smith could play,
The comedian. Or
no. He could play the
the lead.
the Wall Street guy. Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Or not anymore.
and then Chris Rock would play the cousin. That's kind of an
Yeah.
off the wall kind of guy, and he wants to be a comedian, but he's got to do his time.
How old is he in real life when this happens to him?
He's in his 30s.
So
that's
here's-
we can push it.
Oh yeah, I'm saying like, what if you got Jonathan Majors then play the Wall Street guy, and you get little
Oh shit.
Harry? I forgot the guy's name.
When you say Wall Street means what? I'm gonna try to pay attention to the stream a little bit so I can answer questions.
He was in,
Get
Get Out.
here, but
He was the best
Oh.
friend in Get Out. He could play the comedian. too.
Yeah.
So I was like,
so funny.
Wall Street means what? What did you
Little
say? Sorry.
Harry.
3 years of the Condor.
3 days of the Condor.
Yeah,
He's in
Robert Redford.
movie too.
Yeah.
he plays the CIA.
Jarrell loses his identity trying to hide.
Gerald's paying attention. Look at that.
You can hear us?
Like, I'm sure I saw Straight Outta Compton. What was Straight Outta Compton about?
It was about like Ice Cube,
Little Ray
and
Howard.
Dre, like forming
What?
their group and becoming famous,
What's
and
his
then having issues because
He can play
the
the
cops don't
comedian.
want to do
Oh,
security
Little Ray
shows,
Howard,
they're
yeah.
saying for
Yeah.
the police, and
Yeah.
they
Oh,
have
that
huge
was
issues
so
with Record Guild,
good.
and they like break up.
One major.
No, I saw it. It's
It's
been a
long.
long time. That's 90s, isn't it?
It takes place in the 90s, but it came out in 2014.
It's a nice combination.
Right, and maybe we can
It's
get
good,
Donald
And
Sutherland
Drake.
to have to play
Company
the
head of the company.
CEO
Yeah. That's the
because
great.
he can play a dirty guy and
Yeah.
who smiles and you buy anything from him and then he screws you.
Oh yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah.
That's not it.
And then the girls, the Zidane, a couple great, and then there's
How big are the
they're good roles.
Because Zendaya now she won't take anything.
Right, but
She better be in like 60% of the movie now. That's how Zendaya.
I mean,
She's earned it.
there's
Like,
90% of it is shot in the, and then there's a romantic element there
yeah.
with the guy. So you were asking what happened. So basically, I'm getting these.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm pretty sure I
Postcards.
saw this.
Yeah.
This isn't.
Yeah.
It takes place in 90s.
This is a true story.
Or
It's
it
his
takes
son,
place in
actually.
the 80s.
It's Ice Cube's son who plays him.
Yeah, O'Shea Jackson Jr.
Yeah.
He's also he was in one of
So
the
I have a
Star
crazy
Wars shows.
idea.
Hmm.
Not to take away from your story.
No, I want to hear it. I want to hear some
Yeah.
crazy ideas. I
Oh.
love crazy ideas. Anything
I
starts
got
like I got a
crazy
crazy
ideas.
idea, I'm so tuned in.
No, no.
All right,
What
what
if you wrote a version of it where we're focusing on you trying to investigate the postcards, and we're just flashing back to the story of you like looking for your friend? I know that's way out there. That's like
Yeah.
that's an entirely different
Because
perspective.
my deal, I was not in the business.
Right.
And besides me,
Right.
and it scared me because, number one, I was only here for a couple of years, and I was like, they're after him, they wanted to kill him,
You don't want to be a part of
and
that.
it's like, am I safe with this story? Because
Yeah.
they sent him to me to hire me, and I've seen these guys come up from Wall Street.
Right.
One day they were, making 300-400 grand a year. The next day they wanted to be a doorman. So I was the last stop. So HR sent him and says, find something for him to do for a while.
Right.
He's gonna be here short. Okay, whatever. I didn't ask too many questions.
In your
So I met with him and I said, okay, tell me your story. What's going on? Well, I can't tell you. It was a grand jury investigation. I'm like, I'm the last time. I'm like, he says, no, it's like, can we have lunch or something? I'm like, yeah, but I don't want to be in the middle of anything.
Sure.
And then he tells me the story, and it sat there for a long time for me because I was not a writer, and but the story it just grabbed me, and I said I have to get this down to do something, paper.
Yeah.
Talked to a friend of mine, and that's when I put it down, and
So I've
there's
been
a
getting
few versions.
I've been getting a lot of feedback, and I just was, as I hear certain things, I want to try to make certain points if I can.
Sure.
Is that like he made a comment on what you maybe should do as to change the story or that might make it better, just an idea, and and I guess I want to just clarify a little bit about what these readers are.
Mhm.
So I think we had started this even offline. We started like, what is a reader? Or you were asking, like maybe I can read or whatever. Just trying to say like that. I think that certain writers maybe are confused, like because you're just used to sort of professional coverage. You're submitting to an agency and you get a reader or whatever, and they give you feedback, or they use traditional coverage. And I talked to someone else the other day. Professional coverage.
Anybody you pay $50 and
Yeah, whatever. But I guess just maybe the word reader has certain connotations, I guess is what I'm saying, and I just want to kind of define sort of what that means for us to make a bright line for what that is. And it's just audience members like telling what they thought about it. Like it's kind of like I want to equate it, even though it takes time to read a screenplay. I don't know how much, 90-minute screenplay or 90-page screenplay, maybe it takes whatever.
2.5 hours.
That's a
Depends on
commitment.
how
So
fast you read.
So it's a lot longer than just clicking like on an Instagram post, okay?
Yeah.
But I want to, it's more equatable to that than it is to professional screenplay coverage. So somebody who's an audience member who reads your screenplay, them saying recommend is really just clicking like on that. And that like button, they should only click that like button, that recommend button, if they would want to go to the theater and see it, if they would spend $10 or whatever to go see it, or if they would watch it if it were their Netflix queue, or if they would watch it on a streaming platform. So it's really just an audience member saying they like your shit and they would want to see it. And you happen to get 100 of those. Because someone was like, we never get 100 people to agree. Well, it's not like you're trying to get 100 people to give you a bunch of different feedback, and you got to decide, like, do I have to listen to all these people and change, or do what he says, or do what no, it's just feedback, what audience members thought. And maybe if you get a large enough volume of those people and you start seeing some patterns and some themes and some frequent things being told to you, then you might consider. That's up for you. So it is a cacophony of voices. I think in one of my videos, I think it was Patrick saying sort of like, I need one person to tell me what they think. Well, you do have to kind of be in a position, and not necessarily as a writer, but as the director, to just take those voices and be able to say, I have a vision for this. I can tune it out if I need to tune it out, because you're not being dictated to. You're not obligated to make any changes. It's just audience feedback early on. So I guess I just wanted to make that clear. Just sort of like, it's up to you to decide what you want to do with it.
It's valid, and it's an easy lead into the story, because you can open up on my character or whoever the person who wrote it, and
the only reason I can come up with that
then you
idea-
flash back to and then go from there.
The only reason I can come up with it because I met you. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
I hadn't met you, I just read the script, I'm engaged as is. But because I'm meeting, and sorry, what's your name again? Lazo, sorry. Because I met
The
Lazo.
most famous.
Because I met Lazo, is where I'm like, you know what? To hear you talk about your story, I think, like, for me, because I'm meeting you, we're talking, like, it would be cool if I read the story knowing I talked to this guy and I'm reading a script about him. You know what I'm saying? That's why I felt. That's why the thought came in my head. Because if I read the script, like plain, never met you, never met anyone that the script is in front of me, I'm engaged with the script.
Yeah.
But because I met you, and because you're telling me how you learned of the story, I'm thinking to myself, what would be cool if I read the script knowing I met Lazo, and here he is, meeting the guy he's telling me about, like I'm going through the step now as you were going through the step.
Yeah.
So I'm placing myself not in the lead character, I'm placing myself as you. And I'm with the guy now, meeting for the first time. Don't tell me that, I don't want to know that.
Do you want to tell us now about your screenplay?
Fuck you.
Come on, let's hear it, let's hear it. No, come on, come on.
John
Alright.
Washington.
Huh?
Need more John David Washington.
Oh
Yeah.
god.
Exactly.
So my script is, alright, so.
We'll hire him for a block of 5 movies right here.
Yeah.
So for me, there's a whole bunch of things that came into play. Like for the black community, it's very frowned upon to date outside your race. Like, you know, it's like
Just a little aside from that. I mean, I don't know. There's only like 6 people I know, but that's not. But my sister's married to a black man, and
Right.
they have biracial children.
Right.
And I'm from a redneck town in Pennsylvania. My dad didn't understand. But like even then, like I've heard the stories. How
Yeah.
you don't want to. You know what I mean? You don't want to.
Yeah.
Black women don't like that. They give the guys a hard time and
Exactly.
shit and whatever. You know what I mean? Like
You know,
100%.
and like
It's like, what about us? You know, that kind of.
it's a weird
It's
thing
like
because
they're
like
like
they don't want
portraying the community or whatever by you know like
Exactly.
and my mom, my sister's like a hot blonde white chick. You know what I mean? It's like
Well,
stereotypical like.
De Niro was married for 20 some years before
black
they were
woman.
together. I don't know if they were married. For
For
a
a
while
long
now.
But is this a setup to your
Yeah.
film? Like, is this part of the premise, right?
Because this is how I came up with the idea. Because like Denzel Washington never acted in anything with a non-black woman.
Mhm.
Yeah, like he never did anything with a white woman or any other race. Like every movie he's been a part of, either
Pelican Brief, he was with.
he never kissed her.
Oh no,
He never-
there was no relationship
Yeah,
there.
but he never was like
Right.
romantically involved. You know what I'm saying? Like,
That's
even Training Day, he was with Eva Mendes,
Right.
Hispanic woman. Like he always kept it mostly with black women.
Yeah.
And you know, then I was telling Lonzo before and
Francisco.
Francisco.
I'm curious.
I remember.
That's cool. It's cool.
It's okay, it's a lot of names.
But like I was telling them before, like Michael B. Jordan, right before Black Panther came out, he was caught in Italy with like all these beautiful Italian women, none of them black, and there was black women threatening to boycott Black Panther. So like.
I love the community aspect though. It's stupid.
It
but
is
it's
stupid. Like if you look it up right now to everyone
Let's do it.
watching, if you look it up, look
To
up,
me, it's a PR move. You know, it's
look
a
up
great
Michael B.
PR
Jordan
move.
and milk, and you just get his video up, and he's literally talking about how he loves milk. Like he loves chocolate milk, he loves vanilla milk, he loves the cinnamon crunch.
The white
Cinnamon-
pea.
Michael B. Jordan milk.
Yeah, milk.
Oh, milk boys or milk?
No milk. Just Michael B. Jordan.
Hey, Jordan.
Right here.
Michael B. Jordan. I like.
I like all milk.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
I like all milk.
That's
All
all
milk.
Oh
You know,
shit. Almond milk. No, just
Uh,
Oh, he's on live. I got on live. Damn. Can I add
I
something?
can't really hear, but I know what you're saying. No, I get it. I get it.
One thing that I've definitely noticed with a lot of my friends that have families that are from many different parts of the world
Right.
is that it's almost a universal thing that you're supposed to date inside your race for
Yeah.
a lot of diasporas, especially.
What
Like,
diaspora? What's that mean?
a diaspora is a community of people that exists outside of their original like homeland, and so Glendale
So
is
African Americans who exist.
that's a diaspora of
Okay.
Africa, African American.
So my diaspora
Armenians.
because my relatives are German or English or something.
I guess, yes, but it's
I don't feel
usually,
that way. I have, like,
it's
6
usually-
generations
It
of-
usually has to do with that and the formation. So like Chinatown is a diaspora of China.
Got you.
Or
That
like
makes, okay, that clicks. with
Yeah,
what I'm
but
talking
Glendale has a lot of Armenian people. It's a diaspora of
about.
Armenians.
Okay.
You know.
A great word.
And so-
I'm with it. Okay.
There's a lot of what I've noticed because I have friends that are from, especially with some of my friends from India and Pakistan, is that there's a lot of pressure to date within
Yeah.
not just your race, but like people that come from near where you're from. I've had friends that
Arranged marriages.
That was very true for me for the I had a Jewish girlfriend, my first girlfriend.
Yes,
that was
it's
like
very true.
yeah.
Jewish people too. Like
Yeah.
I grew
Yeah,
up.
they're
around a lot.
I had to convert if I was ever going to have a chance to
No,
marry.
it's true. Yeah, it's
In
very
this
big
case,
for
it's
some
a no.
people, and you know, like for me, I think I personally am closer to what you were saying, where it's like I'm in a mixed race relationship. My girlfriend's black, and
Right.
but like even before then, like it's for me. I grew up in privileged enough that my dad never like told me I had to date a certain person based on their race, and I don't take that for granted. But
But you're saying you get that there's a social pressure for that. But this is all build up to what your story
Yeah.
is, right?
Yeah, because so Meghan Markle and the royal family,
Right.
she wouldn't get any protection for her kids. So
She wouldn't get, she chose not to get.
no,
I don't stay.
the royal family wouldn't provide her protection.
Once she was separated out from the
because
family.
she stepped back.
They
from
did,
royal
yeah,
life.
right.
No, because Prince Harry's marrying a black woman. Now they have like.
Oh, is she? Oh,
But
yeah.
I think
Yeah.
what happened was, I don't think it was much because he was marrying outside, but because they stepped back
Yeah,
and they're far down from the
the hierarchy, whatever. Yeah, but it's like
and if you look into why they stepped back,
like they
I
they
think she
kept
made a big mistake, but
they kept facing backlash for it from all like and then all these things came out about her and her family. It's like it just constantly kept compounding one after the other.
right.
So I just
I'm clicking in because I'm remembering now your story, that how you had the really great descriptions of the characters. Like you guys really set them up really well.
because I knew
Each one encapsulated, like you just like boom, I get that person.
Sounds
Like,
fun.
You know what I mean?
So for me, I was like, all right, because the lead is actually an African princess, but you don't know that to the very midpoint.
And she's in the medical profession, right?
Yeah,
And
she's
she taught,
training to
right?
be a doctor.
Yeah, and her family's like, we're coming to
In
see
the
you.
US?
Huh?
In
She's
the
in the
Am I
U.S.
getting it right? Like her
Her
family's
family's coming from
to see you,
Africa to meet her new beau.
Felt like a miniature coming to a small set coming to
Coming to
America
America.
moment there.
Exactly. Guess who he's coming to meet?
it's gonna fight.
So she's coming to her family's coming to meet her new boyfriend. They had no idea he's white, and she's not ready to tell them yet. So she and then I put in Michael B. Jordan's little video. He's being threatened, boycott, all this stuff. So she basically kidnaps him. Like she drugs him at the bar, kidnaps him, takes him home. Like, here, I have a proposal for you. I'll pretend to be your girlfriend for your fans. Your movie doesn't tank. You pretend to be my boyfriend so my parents doesn't know my boyfriend is white. So literally it's just them faking this whole relationship for the world.
All the family.
But that whole setup was basically to say that there's enough social pressure to see that could be realistic. People would go to the
Exactly.
extent to do
Oh,
that.
God.
There's a lot of,
Yeah,
it's not, my wife is Greek descent. Her grandparents came from Greece. Born here, her parents were born here. I was the outsider in the church and the whole thing. No, nothing religious, but they are. So I, we getting serious. I was at the church and meeting all these people and these older ladies. Came from Greece a long time ago. And I'm like, where are you from? And so I'm from Hungary. Are you hungry? Come on, let's eat.
Let's
So
see.
it's like 3 or 4. My big fat Greek wedding. It's like 3 or 4 times it happened, and I was like, I knew the conflict between the Turks and the Greeks. There are a lot of them. So and I kind of sensed all that other stuff over the few months.
So you get it.
So I next time someone, where are you from?
You make up something
I'm
else.
Turkish and Jewish. And the knives came out of my hair, like ready to cut my balls off. I was like, whoa.
Just kidding. I'm Hungarian.
And then once they got to know me, it was okay, but it's still there. And we're basically white.
But to bring it back to your story, I do remember there's more to it, right? Because I don't want to spoil it, but there's like kidnapping involved.
She kidnaps
Oh,
him, she
it's
drugs
hard.
him, she kidnaps him, like takes him back. Someone an analyst had a problem with the whole drug thing. I'm like, no one's getting raped, okay? She's just trying to get him alone to discuss her masterful plan of pretending to be a couple. But a lot of people getting pushed back. I'm like, I'm not changing that because
what about horrible bosses and all that? And, you know, they were trying to kill
Exactly.
them.
That's what I'm saying.
It's like-
Comedy's meant to be pushed to a certain extent. You know what I'm saying? Like Dave. I know Dave Chappelle is like a hot topic, but
But if you don't know where to stop, where the
Yeah.
reality begins and the comedy, then that's your problem.
exactly. And I don't push it further than that.
Right.
She drugs him. She takes him home. Nothing happens sexually. No one's assaulted. None of that. But yeah, so
Makes a deal
But
with
didn't
them.
you, wasn't your things like in your cover fly bio or whatever? It's like I want to be one of the 10 black
Action
directors, action
writers, yeah.
specifically, right?
Yeah, and I had no action. It's funny.
This is not an action movie. It's
At
more
all.
comedy than it is
It's
action.
all
I guess.
comedy.
Yeah.
It's all comedy. And
I mean, the kidnapping scene could be maybe, I don't know, maybe push the action there, I don't
Yeah.
know. But
Because
where's your
You can
action
do a little
movie,
chase,
man?
you can do a
Huh?
little-
Your action
you just
movie.
my action movies right now, hopefully being read by this great director who wants to direct it. Who knows? Muslim superhero. So that's another.
Muslim superhero.
Are you Muslim?
I'm not, but I get that a lot. I've dated beautiful Muslim women.
Did you pick up any Arabic when you were in Saudi?
I wish I did.
You couldn't.
None.
No.
None.
No.
What does that mean?
I said thank you.
My son took at West Point. He took Arabic one semester, and he says, "Dad, that's one of the toughest."
Yeah.
Speaking is not an issue, but reading, because it's a completely different alphabet.
I wish I learned Latin.
To cut you off.
No. I wish I learned Latin because you learn Latin.
Yeah, I learned Latin. No, like
I grew up with German. I grew up with Italian. My grandfather was Italian. Like Latin, I had to learn. I was in a monastery or in a seminary situation, and then I wanted to learn
Right.
English, but every time I signed up, only like 5 spots and 500 people wanted to go to the university, so I couldn't. So I went to German because I already spoke German.
So, do you have a part for Francisco or what? What are you
course.
doing here, Francisco?
You
You said you also wrote as well, right?
He's the one who's gonna be. He's gonna be the kidnapper.
Yeah, promote the-
Okay, I can.
Other than whatever
Nah,
beer this
it's-
is.
So,
you took label sauce.
so I just shot a short in August that I acted in, but I'm also a producer on it. The director is someone I've worked with a lot in the past, and we're pushing it for a festival run. We're going to start submitting it actually the next few days.
Nice.
I think we've just
Good.
finished one of the first major cuts. The film is called Talk Back. It's influenced by kind of Softy Brothers and
I don't even know Softy Brothers.
you know Uncut Gems.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like those are the directors. Or Good Times. And
Uncut Gems talking about Adam Sandler.
Sandler.
Yeah, that was
So that, and then there's
What about
Little
that? That's the
better,
same
but
people
it
directed
was-
that or what?
was-
Yeah,
it was
Softy
good story.
Brothers.
Okay.
And so there's also a movie called Shiva Baby that came out I think last
didn't
year,
see Shiva
and
Baby.
it's about this woman who's maybe my age, and so she's like in her early 20s, and she has a sugar daddy, and she's Jewish. She has a sugar daddy, and then she has to go to this Shiva, which is like a funeral thing for a Jewish funeral, where everybody comes in. And at the funeral, she runs into her ex-girlfriend and her baby daddy, and it is super anxiety-inducing and stressful. And kind of that anxious energy was what my director wanted to go for with this film, Talk Back. It's about a
Do
voice
you
actor.
think it's short?
Yes, it's a short.
Like how
But you
long?
want to
I
expand
think
it
it's
into
like
a
15
feature.
to 20 minutes.
What's the path to success for a short? Is it like the ultimate dream? Is like I want to win an Oscar from the short category?
Do a feature
Well,
about the.
Whiplash started as a short and became a feature?
I think the
Really?
Which one?
Whiplash.
Oh, Whiplash. Yeah.
I think the part of it is credibility. Is like you have a film that you've made and it has won awards, and I think having that credibility is important.
So what award would the ultimate award I guess would be the Oscar for short category?
I
Or
mean,
is
yeah,
it-
I'm not.
or is
running.
getting into a festival and getting
we
like
submitted to like LA Shorts,
Rain
Slam
Dance or
I think
something, or
Slam Dance is the
Slam
one that
Dance?
my
Okay.
director really wants to go to. There's a bunch. I'm involved with festivals too, though, and it's a place that I'm trying to learn a little more on. But this
We're talking
basically
about-
Talk Back is about this voice actor who has an incredible opportunity, and he needs to submit something basically within the next 6 hours to get this opportunity that will land him a recurring role. And it's really what he needs. And he has this roommate he's met on Craigslist, and as he's trying to do this, everything is
So
going.
that's the
wrong.
ticking clock and you got 6 hours.
Yeah,
so that's
basically,
really
like,
condensed.
maybe that, maybe less, honestly.
Okay.
And everything is going wrong. He can't find this cord, and he goes to his roommate because his roommate had a party last night, and he thinks his roommate might have taken the cord. But his roommate, who's
The
played by
cord?
Mead, by a cord that he needs.
Oh, a cord, just a cord.
Yeah, a cord that he needs.
To plug in some equipment to do his voiceover work.
And his roommate, who's me, is on a psychedelic journey, tripping balls. Yes, trying to find himself. And there's, I'm not going to give away.
Do you play that well? Do you?
I haven't seen the cut yet, but
you're extrapolating as an actor.
Allegedly. And so it was definitely a challenge for me to act. On the days I was acting, I was only acting. And then on the day, we had a second location that I wasn't acting on, and so I was more producer mode there. And that was pretty strange, but
to separate those things out, you mean?
Yeah, but I really like acting. I think acting comes easiest to me out of everything I've done because I don't know, you just kind of. Honestly, there was something in the movie Blondie last night where Marilyn.
You saw it?
Yeah.
You saw Blondie? I thought it was just Blonde.
Or Blonde. Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
Blondie.
There might have been another something called in the 50s called Blondie, but okay. Or you liked it? I was gonna say to the Netflix theater right now.
I think that it's a great example of a film that is extremely polarizing. And I think
why?
I think that 60 to 80% of people that watch it are gonna hate it.
Really? Why?
Because it has no clear narrative. It is very abstract. It is NC-17, so it's decently graphic.
This is like soft porn or something then. NC-17 with no good storyline?
It's the first Netflix movie to be rated NC-17, but it has arguably the best cinematography I've ever seen.
At the same time. There's some art to it.
Beautiful.
You usually shot soft porn.
Is it shot on film or on digital?
I don't know.
It could be shot on.
One of the things that was really cool though is as they go through the years, the aspect ratio changes based on what was popular at the time and what movies she's in. And a lot of the time it will just drop you in a scene.
Really?
It'll drop you in a scene and you can't really tell if she's acting or if this is her real life. And I think that...
Well, I mean, she died in 1962. So it had to be mostly in the 50s.
Yeah,
most of
his
her movies were made within a couple of years.
Yeah, but it's a brutal watch. But the thing about it was Marilyn Monroe really got into her characters and really felt what they were feeling.
As a method actress?
Yeah, you could call her like early method actress, and they scoff at her for it. They think she's crazy, but she's hot, so we'll hire her. And later in her life, they
didn't take her seriously.
Yeah,
what it was.
Yeah. Later in her life, she got some roles that she liked a little more, but a lot of the movie shows is just a lot of people just exploited her. But anyways, the reason I brought that up is because the way that she would just get into the character and really feel it is how
you relate to it.
I relate to it. It's not even like a conscious work flow. It's just kind of thinking about the emotions at stake and just accepting myself and letting myself do it. I think a lot of acting is just being scared that you're gonna mess it up. A lot of people are just scared to try, but
you want another beer? You good? You want another beer? I'm
gonna just trying to loosen you up.
Oh yeah, you're good.
Yeah, but basically, I worked on this project. I'm an actor though.
You didn't write this?
I didn't write this one, but I do write, and I'm working on a screenplay. I'm trying to make a proof of concept first, and so we'll go till he comes back. But whatever. Basically, like the idea would be like, have you seen the film Lights Out? Have you heard of it?
Yeah.
It's a horror film, and it was made because of a proof of concept film. It's like a 2-minute horror film. It's scary. It's like this woman in a hallway and she turns off the light and there's a figure. Right? She turns on the light and it's gone. But that movie, the proof of concept, led to that movie getting made, and I think a sequel, right? Or maybe that was no, that was a similar movie.
How many of you guys seen
just
Saw?
think about
Saw. I love those movies.
Okay, Saw was, you just reminded me because a friend of mine, he found these two guys from Australia, had an 8-minute piece, proof of concept. And script.
James Wan?
Yeah.
Oh shit, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And my friend, Greg Hoffman, he was a Disney producer. He was doing stuff to video and, George of the Jungle 2 and all that, and he was kind of just like dying at Disney. And our kids were in the same class at school, and we were talking about, hey, what's going on? He said, I just got these two guys approaching me with this thing, it's horror, and I'm like, horror's not my genre, but he said, do you mind taking a look at it? So we looked at it, and it was crazy. Man, this is nuts.
What was the proof of concept? Was it just like with the sawing off the leg?
Yeah, it was just like shortcuts and
I love those movies.
Yeah.
I know.
They're camp. If you watch them now, they are camp. Like,
Yeah.
they're not even scary.
right. But
And
at
it's
the
just
time,
time,
15 years ago.
Yeah.
So Greg says, he says, I'm trying to get in with these two producer guys to be a producing partner. I have to bring something to them. What do you think? And I'm like, dude, I'm not an authority on this, but I bring it. And you have a screenplay. You have at least any of these two guys. And so he took it to these two other producers. He's basically trying to, get in the producer, whether this movie or not, or he's trying to get in with these guys. So he shows them and he says, well, how much you need to shoot this movie, and how long? And he says, well, we can shoot this because he knew some of the other actors that he had in it, and he says, well, we can shoot it under $1 million. All in LA in one place, in warehouse. So the two guys, he convinced the two guys to put up their houses each, $500,000 each.
Wow.
And his was that he brought, his sweat equity was that he brought these guys to the table. Well, the first Saw movie did $84 million in the theater and probably a little bit more in DVD. And then immediately got a 10 picture deal.
I fell off. They didn't do 10. How many did they do?
No, actually, they have 10 right now.
They have 10?
They're still
I fell off at like after
the
3.
new
I
one.
think.
The new one stars Chris Rock and Samuel L. Jackson. It
What?
was directed by Chris Rock.
There's a new one?
Yeah.
Oh, it's out now already?
Yeah, it's called Spiral. Well, no, it's not a full comedy, but it's different. It's
So
less
should I go
like,
back and follow them, I guess, huh?
it has nothing to do with the story, really. It's pretty separate.
The whole thing in the warehouse is this the psychological thriller of them being
Right,
stuck there.
exactly.
How the hell do they get out,
Just
right?
the death games, it's
Yes,
so
like-
popular,
Right.
Squid Game. And
Yeah,
things
Squid
like
Game,
that.
yeah.
Anyway, the point, the reason I brought it up was, I do have something I'm writing, but it's pretty early in the process. But I'm
Early
writing a
days.
proof of concept and a feature, because I figure that the pathway that I could see would be making a proof of concept and using that, like with that from Lights
So
Out,
that's how
to get a feature. And I'm not really sure like what the time frame is on that, but it's something that's basically it would be about. There's a huge epidemic in colleges right now with sexual violence. There's not a lot of repercussion towards people who sexually assault and rape people. The schools don't really help in the way they're supposed
Especially
to.
for athletes.
Yeah, dude, yeah, unfortunately. And so this is kind of rooted in like, okay, what if some people decided that they wanted to make rapists scary again,
Yeah.
They wanted to make rapists scared.
I didn't need to make it sound like that, but like, make rapists
Right,
afraid.
feel there's a consequence.
Feel like
Yeah, so
something's going to happen.
That's a high concept, I like
And
that.
so the idea would be, what I have now, it would be about like this woman that convinces her friends to help her with this, and they track down this guy that's assaulted her, and they make an example of him by taking his ring finger and basically telling him that he has a week to publicly own up about what he's done to her and anyone else, or they're gonna come back and kill him. And that part is a bluff, but
They cut off his ring finger?
they cut off his ring finger kind of as a, like, how can you explain that to a spouse, But the point would be to completely, like, reveal everything about him to everyone. Because, at the end of the day, like, it seems harsh sometimes to people, but it's like, you are only giving them what they have given to the world. You're just giving it back in a way that the world is not giving it back. And I'm not saying you should do that to people, but it's a story, And I think the idea would be, like, they want to build something larger, and by the end of the proof of concept there would be momentum, and like one of the character that initially went into it is suddenly less interested. She doesn't really feel satisfied with the way things went, but the others are hooked on this idea of justice when they feel like they're in a country where they see injustice all the time and they don't know how to deal with it. And
So,
at least in LA, like the
Would that
police-
movie ever pass the beta test? Because they're all gonna
the Bechdel test?
Bechdel, whatever you call it. Are they ever gonna pass it because they have this one man that's a victim?
Well,
they don't
I
constantly talk about him.
It would probably, probably not the short at this point, at least as I have it written now, but the feature would.
Oh boy, I just
I mean, the thing is,
I don't
like,
care about the decklist. I'm
I think
kidding.
you should
I know.
go.
I think the thing is, it's important
I
to
have an
think
idea.
about those things, but it's like if you intentionally change your script, like it would be like if you wanted to make action movies, so you added a bunch of action to your action movie, like that wouldn't really mesh with what your story is.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
The story can only be what it is.
So I have I'm gonna do to you what I did to Long.
Of course, hit me with it.
So I guess there's at least two women on the Supreme Court. One voted to overturn Roe v. Wade. What if these women kidnapped a Supreme Court justice and decided, hey,
You like kidnapping, don't you?
Well, this is to me is more in response to rampant sexual violence on college campuses. And Supreme Court, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Like someone might think that's a good idea, but I think the idea of having this, they have these costumes they put on, and there's this fear element of like almost like a more fucked up like vigilante kind of.
Yeah.
That like if you do this, these people are gonna find you, and that by the end of the movie there will be more and more people in this organization that the people who started don't even really have control over it anymore.
I think what you should do, I have an idea. Just in a
Yeah, of
5 to
course.
7, 8 minutes or whatever it is.
I'm
The girl
completely on it.
who initiates it. I think cut off the finger and she lights a torch.
Okay. Yeah, I have that in there.
Not only she does that,
Mhm.
and then she goes for the jewels.
Okay, yeah. So that was also part of it. Is that originally I had it written that they were like, if you don't do this, we're gonna come back and we're gonna castrate you. But I just feel like that might push me too far into the art house genre if I go in that direction.
yeah.
I don't know.
In real life, I think that.
I think in real life-
they should do that. They should do castration as punishment.
I mean, yeah, but the problem is
You have 8 minutes to tell us.
yeah, well,
Right.
originally, but like in my original draft, that's the threat. It's not gonna kill
Jim
me.
Boston likes it. Jim Boston says that's a heck of a concept. So.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate that.
Burn the
You're
balls,
getting
right?
love. You're getting some love on that.
Well, and it's mostly just out of, I don't know, like, I know so many people that have had shitty experiences, and then the person who did it just is off, like, in a successful venture now, and their life is just going fine, and there's really no indication to anyone that they've done something so horrible. And, you know, there's a lot of reasons why someone might get away with it, and I think it's a topic I don't take lightly because sexual violence is really serious, and I mean, I've experienced it before. I have a lot of friends that have experienced it before, and it's not something. The biggest thing for me is I would never show the actual act on screen.
Right.
I would never put an actor through that. I just can't.
Well, if you watch Saw, the first one,
Mhm.
you really, you see some, but it's like, what do you call it?
But yeah, I just feel like the morals are different in movies. Like in a movie, it's much more understandable to kill a person than a dog. You know?
Right.
And like similarly, like.
Isn't that in real life?
Silence of the
too? That's
Lambs,
different in real life?
Silence of the Lambs was so subliminal. You
Yeah.
didn't
I'd
see
rather
it.
kill a person than a dog in real life.
Seriously?
I don't know, I wouldn't kill either, but
Right.
I know. what you're
But
saying.
you know that
You see so much violence and so much killing and so many action,
But
but
the
that's
things that-
normal. But you don't see a lot of dog
And
killing.
with
There are a
the
lot of
video
things that are
games and
like
everything, it's now we're so we're immune to it, unfortunately, and that's why you see all the stuff that they are reenacting or acting on what they see on the screen that's nowhere near real.
Yeah.
And they go out and then they say, oh, I just shot somebody. It's not real, but the real consequence.
I think I would just want to carry in any
Can
story.
I just comment that I thought Asia was gone, but she's still here saying more black women to be casted as lead roles. What was that awesome other one on Netflix? I don't know if it's good or not, but isn't it called The King of Women?
Oh, The Woman King.
The Woman
Yeah,
King or
Viola
something? That's a
Davis.
good example today of
Yeah,
that's
well,
a
and if
total
you look
black
at
woman lead.
I haven't seen it.
And
If
a
you look at
total
the
wrong
reception
person
it
to say that, but I was
I
able
don't
to see
see
that.
that pretty good,
Have you
but
seen it?
it got some
And
flack.
I love
because
action
it's-
movies. I'm
Yeah.
I'm trying to wait to see it.
It's a period piece, dude. It's like set in Africa somewhere,
Yeah,
right?
set in Africa.
And based on an actual person.
The trailer looked good. I don't know if the movie's good. I'll have to go see it right now.
Yeah, I guess the way I think about, okay,
That's probably an exception to the rule versus the rule. Yeah, go ahead.
Finish what I was saying is like, every action has reaction, and everything you do has to like come back to you in some way. Like that makes it satisfying.
You're providing that justice. You're providing. The universe doesn't really work that way.
But it's not really justice. That's the whole. Like at the end of the movie, it's not gonna feel like justice. But the drive to do it, that rush, is kind of what pushes people. And like the idea would be she would be initially convincing him and saying like, no, it's not revenge. Like this is retribution. Like this is paying my dues. He owes me for this, and I want to pay it in blood. And
Reminds me of-
that's her original claim.
Maybe she would
but
toy with
afterwards,
him in
yeah,
some ways.
afterwards, she feels completely hollow by this, and she exits. And
She's
this
a deep
would be
being.
after. This would be like getting into like the feature part.
Right.
But she would not be connected to it and then come back at some point, and it would be a completely different thing.
That would probably.
But
I think
also,
it's
like
an-
you said,
I think
cross
it's an
finger,
important topic.
we gotta cauterize it too. You know, he's not getting that back on.
Right.
Could you get a prosthetic finger?
Sure.
Yeah, sure you
I
can.
don't know. But also, I was thinking the thing that I've been grappling with is not a redemption arc for him, but still following that first victim through his life after publicly admitting after that stuff, and then maybe even in the end he's part of the organization. You know, I just figure that a lot of I just figure that all your characters need to change, right? Or maybe not all of them, but like a lot of them.
Mixes audience.
It's a hard sell though. The rapist.
It is. It's a Game of Thrones style, honestly. Like it's like
Personal
So it's in-
experience, I mean-
yeah, and like I wouldn't want to make him a hero, but like
I see.
you have to make him a human being, you know. And that's the hardest part for me is that like I
This
don't
is
want to
movie-
feel mercy for people.
This is a movie
Like that.
Elliot Page did with what's his name? Jason Patrick, I think. She tortures because he's a pedophile, and she discovers
Which movie is this?
Elliot Page. Back when she was Ellen Page, she did a movie with Jason Patrick where he's a pedophile and she pretty much tortures him. Like it's literally the entire movie she's torturing him. Like even though you know what he did, you kind of start feeling sorry for him a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like
It's just I don't want anyone to feel like he's a good person, but I want them to remember he's a human being.
right, and that's what you remember in this movie. He's a human.
Exactly.
Because what she does to him, you're like, yeah, he deserves to suffer, but at a certain point, just
Yeah, like
kill him again.
We see him
like-
speaking at college campuses.
Oh no, he killed
Like his
himself.
old,
Oh, he kills himself?
like his old friends.
Oh, and
In the movie,
that
in the movie.
yeah. No,
But
but
like,
for
you know, this guy's going about his life, and maybe his old friends find him and just beat the shit out of him. You know, and like, how many times do they do that? Like, at what point is it? I don't know. That is very
maybe
much
at the end we'll see
question.
him speaking at college campuses, and the finger is missing, and then he's speaking against violence against women.
Maybe, yeah, you know,
Yeah,
some
it
kind
would
of
be- you
growth.
gotta give back a little bit.
But it's something that I don't know. I have to talk to other people, mainly I think my female friends, just because I always, you know, like when we talk about acting as someone that you're not, you know, like I can act as a Russian, you know, or something, but like I'm not. And there's
I can see
some-
that actually. You picked one you've done before, haven't you?
Yes.
I can see you acting as a
I
Russian.
was a Russian in
Okay.
that short film, but the point is like I wouldn't want to play a trans character because that's taking away roles from trans people if I'm doing that in a way, you know, in the same way
Also
like
acting, but yeah.
but also like less than that,
Should we
like,
give,
if I play like a gay character, is that taking away a role?
Depends on who's the best actor for the
I
job.
think, yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Who auditions and who's the best
You
one?
should never ever worry about that because that's
It's
it's like, well, you know, I don't want to write because I'm, you know, he might be a better writer.
Well, it's for writing. It's more like I just want to get their perspective, you know.
But
I was gonna act as a gay character, I would
someone
watch the game
said to me they liked it. They liked Reed Street. It's like, yeah, but you're white. You wrote this. It's like,
what?
and the biggest compliment was he says the characters in the club, all mostly 99% black.
Mhm.
were written so well that I'm not speaking of me. They said it about Michael, and I was like, and he says, how did you get? And I was like, okay, I just got into the characters. I did a lot of study of, all that. I lived in Harlem. I kind of got it off some of those characters.
That's why.
Because I was like, I was going back and forth to work every day, and I barely spoke English. 6 or 7 months into it, and then these guys were around the corner, and they're like, "Hey, man, what are you doing here?" "What do you mean? I live right there." I said, "You see me every day." "Oh man, what are you doing here? You white?" Yeah.
That's how now.
And I wasn't scared because I was like, you know what? I just kind of went through me. Nobody knows me. Nobody cares. I would wash up in New Jersey somewhere. Literally. No phone, no, I didn't have a phone. I lived in one bedroom with the bathroom down the hall with cockroaches this big. And somehow humor came out of me with my limited English. It says, "You see me every day for 6 or 7 months, now you tell me I'm white?" I thought I was black, man. And they thought I was nuts. They're like, "Hey, get the fuck out of here." And I told my boss, who was a German guy, he says, "No, you have to move before they find out you're not nuts. Because then they can
Before you find out you're not nuts.
I didn't do anything to these guys, but I was in their territory, whatever they were doing on the corner, the drugs or whatever it was. And I was not trying to, disrupt their game.
Right.
I was trying to survive. I was making $3.50 an hour. I was managing a luxury hotel in Europe. I came here, I couldn't get a job. I had enough money for one meal a day, and I went by and swiped sugar packets from coffee shops,
Right.
and that was my meal. 26 years old. And I never ever said, "Oh, I'm going to go back to an easy life," because that wasn't that passed me.
Have you ever put anything like that in your scripts, like a character swiping the sugar packets or something like that?
My next one is
Hey, Grace, where we at?
is kind of like that because it kind of follows my
You said you were fishing because you were cooking.
my life a little bit without saying me, but it's
Yeah.
yeah.
It's interesting with writing
You don't
because
want
it's
to
like,
cook or no?
with acting, like you're there, but with writing,
No,
it's like
no,
you have to put yourself in there, but also
Yeah.
separate yourself.
Yeah.
And
See, the way I write is, and I don't know about you guys, but and I mentioned it to you before, and I see it and I just write it. I see it as a live action.
Yeah. It's in your head.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same.
And that's why I don't make notes and then I go back. And I don't do that. I write it because it flows.
Right.
It may not flow for 6, 7 months or 4 years, but it's.
I get it.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know, I mean, I never formally trained or anything like that. It's just, I don't know if it's the right way or wrong way or whatever, I don't know.
I wrote a story about 3 females in Afghanistan who started prostitution ring.
Americans?
Yeah, no, 3 Americans, so it's 4. 3 Americans, 1 is British.
All in the military?
This happens all in Afghanistan. And they started prostitution. I'm a man writing about 4 female leads.
Sure.
Like,
What do you know about it?
yeah, exactly.
so when you come to a point like that, where do you go to find inspiration for how to do it in like an authentic way?
Because this is a worst kept secret in the military. This is actually happening.
Okay, yeah, there you go. You
This
saw it, you
is,
experienced
this
it.
is like
That
There's
gives
a
you
little more
legitimacy.
imagination.
I just, I was reading what's actually happening in the military? What's happening?
no. It was, apparently there was female soldiers. They started a prostitution ring.
Female soldiers to
Sorry.
make money while they're in the military.
Yeah.
Because they're fucking, everybody's bored. Everybody's sitting around bored and they're like, let's make some money.
The guys are all away from their wives, and nobody would know.
Everyone's paying $500, whatever.
Wait, is this another action that I didn't read? Or is this-
This is the comedy I wrote.
Okay.
It's a
Actually
comedy.
pretty good.
It's a comedy I wrote.
Female prostitution ring in the military.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you call it? That's what we were just talking about.
I've got a story.
What is it?
I've got a story.
Oh,
Because the
yeah.
code word
Oh,
is I've got a story. So that's letting you know I'm ready to do this.
All right.
Who's the pimp?
The female.
Gerald just sounds like a Roger Corman film. I know the name Roger Corman, but give me a Roger Corman film title. I don't know if that's what I've seen.
Roger
Give us
Corman
the
did the
title
original
now.
Little Shop of Horrors.
Okay.
The original Little Shop of Horrors.
I seen that.
1959.
Okay, that comedian.
That's
So I
Jack
guess the
Nicholson's
book-
very first film role.
Oh, I know the Moranis one. Rick Moranis. I know that version of
Rick
it.
Moranis, yeah.
Yeah. But basically, like, I'm a man writing about female.
Feeling like somebody's gonna judge you saying you shouldn't.
You know,
Their feelings, they're basically it's all around the four women.
Exactly, and at the same time, like the Muslim superhero one. I'm not Muslim, I'm right.
Right.
The point I come to when you were asking before is, who else is writing this? No one. No one else is writing
Right.
this. You
Because you
know,
actually experienced it.
so why shouldn't I write it?
Whether it was peripheral or
But you have
100%.
Yeah.
But what would your feeling be like? I guess at the point that it comes to like being made, would you want to have somebody do a pass by just to be sure that it's authentic, or
Absolutely, I'm not opposed to that. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you want to get female writers into, hey, did I do you guys justice or whatever?
Or
Absolutely.
they don't even need to
Muslim.
be like, you can even just be like, oh, I have a friend that's a writer and I just want to talk to her about it. Like, they don't even need to be like involved in the project, you know? Like, I feel like you
These
just
days,
need-
everyone's involved somehow, you know.
I guess so, yeah, but
Everyone wants
just
to
talking to
comedy.
people and like,
Yeah, comedy. Everyone wants to.
So as long as you do it lighthearted, the military won't
It
be
is
good.
like there's a scene where one of the girls she jerks off the soldier to the song. What's the song called? What's the song called?
jerk off soldiers to
To
a song?
survive. I will survive.
I will survive.
Oh,
Yeah, because he's about to go off.
Irene Cara?
Huh?
Irene Cara.
She's about because the character's about to go off.
I'm hating myself, sorry.
He's about to go off on a mission. You know, you never know if you're gonna come back or not from a mission. So she's literally jerking him off, like, and she's telling him what to say, and as he's saying it, is like comparing it with the song itself.
We love you a long time. You know, do you remember?
well, it's always nice when the song like adds a layer of like subtext.
Exactly.
to what's
So
going
that's
on.
why it's like, so it is funny. You know, I'm not.
Good Morning Vietnam meets, you remember?
Yeah, or like,
Good Morning Vietnam?
one of my friends is watching Breaking Bad the first time, and we just got to the episode where they play Crystal Blue Persuasion, and like that song just elevates things.
Exactly.
I want to see if Gerald will come on Zoom real quick because I think
He's jerking off right now.
he's commenting so much.
Sorry.
I want to see if he'll
I
come
see
on
it here.
Zoom.
It's
But I
fine.
think it's interesting because like a story, you have to give yourself a reason to exist as a story, you know? And the fact that you saw that and you lived through it is a reason, you know? And I feel like that does give you legit, in the same way that like I feel legitimacy to talk about things that have affected me. It's not like I'm you know, I'm never gonna ask anyone what they think. But
Right.
I definitely feel you that like even if the story is not about you or like something, like you can still write it.
Yeah.
And it just feels hard because it seems like a lot of the casting, like Gerald was saying in chat, was
Right.
like a lot of it is just about who's available and who it fits the part.
Yeah, you
A lot of times-
you saw that? It's
Yeah.
basically who's available. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the time like it's hard because
Yeah,
you
they wanna
want
work.
to have more
A
representation.
lot of
but
people
it's
want to
like,
work.
Yeah.
so how do you get those people? You know, like
Problem is too, agents and managers. Like I've had one rep tell me their actress is not doing TV anymore. A year later, I see her in the fucking trailer for a TV series on HBO Max.
Yeah, because she was hungry. She needed.
What? He's just lying.
Yeah.
He's just lying.
Yeah,
That's it.
that's the best part of it.
Unless there's money attached to it, agent one.
I'm telling you it's a lie.
My friend
We'll find out later.
who was executive producer and head writer for King of Queens,
Right.
he introduced me to his agent.
Right.
The guy, I know he didn't read it because I asked him certain questions on, because I want to do Greed Street as a feature and then spin it off as a TV series,
Right.
a short story. And I asked him about that, and he said, well, you know, I know he didn't read any of it. So I told David, I'm like, this guy's a jerk off, so I'm not.
You know.
But he said he did though.
Yeah, he did. He said he did. He said, oh, I
I
like
think
that
he
a
did.
lot.
He could say I didn't.
No,
You know what I mean?
you'd be a man, you know?
Exactly.
But
You know-
have you seen the movie Full Metal Jacket?
Yeah.
Okay.
I seen it.
Full Metal Jacket, you know, the very first 20 minutes it's a very riveting, you know, very critical part of the movie. But towards the end, which there are some parts where you can kind of steal from, for that, do you remember?
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And Good Morning Vietnam also, and
Yeah. But it's like,
Can we change the topic real quick to
Yeah.
horror? Because that's something that I get so many
Favorite
submissions of.
To where?
And like, and there's one, Jay, who's still here, has one called The Creek. And
Oh,
it
yeah.
has all the elements, and her group, I guess, is good. It's like they have all the team, they have the thing. I guess like I'm not an expert enough on it to judge because I have a friend that is. His name's Joe Mo. He's caretaker of this guy Forrest Ackerman who coined the word sci-fi or whatever. Like started the careers of like George Lucas and Steven Spielberg or whatever. So he'd be like an authority on it. For me, I just feel like one, I'm not a horror fan. That's just not my thing. Like I don't go to horror movies. Maybe that's not really true, but for the most part, well, I know. Like so I do. Like I like the classic ones, and I do show up and whatever. I guess it's just like. With that genre specifically, I'd want someone who's an expert to sort of say, hey, this changes something in some way. It's not just another formula that does the same thing, and I'm not the judge of that. Like, so what would you look at when you're looking at trying to find a good horror script or a horror film to make?
A Quiet Place is a great read for horror.
What?
A Quiet Place.
The Quiet Place was different because nobody freaking talked the entire time, right?
Right.
Like that was new. It was so new.
You get like
Because there's all this action descriptions because they're not talking, right? I mean, right? So like this person walks here.
it's literally selling on writing action script.
That's
yeah.
crazy.
You know,
That's
same
crazy.
thing with Buried with Ryan Reynolds. Also
Oh, yeah.
Buried.
Okay, I have a film. Yeah, that's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
I didn't read that, but I saw it at the Deauville Film Festival in France. I freaking love that movie. And I saw the behind the scenes making of it. I love that.
You gotta read it for me because as a writer, it's
It's a
like
read.
you wanna know
It's
how
crazy.
how you do something like that.
But like at the same time, I don't want to be like, well, if a formula works, like do it. But I guess I'm trying to be too much about.
You just try to do something new.
Yeah, I do.
Because
Too much new. I don't know.
You get a lot of movies that are just trying to be Get Out. I feel like because I feel like that's probably one of the
Get Out was awesome though.
But yeah, exactly. But
Racism was like the freaking monster. I love that.
But like you can't just you have to do something that is at least somewhat new. Like the whole like the whole Jordan Peele thing, like trying to figure out what's going on in the whole movie. I love that. I think that should be in a lot of movies where like there's some big thing coming together and you're just figuring it out. Because then when you rewatch it, you get different clues. You know.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that about
Kind of like
Jordan Peele.
Escape Room.
I'd like,
Yeah.
I want Jay to talk about just sort of like, I don't know if you, I don't know if you back on it, like what she thinks about what she's doing differently. I remember that the tree played a role in the, what would be the different thing now? What do you think the trending, I guess from Ryan P.
I think
also on
it's
top of
for
trends,
sure
what would it
script.
be?
Did you see Bodies?
No.
That's like the Gen Z horror movie that just came out. It has Pete Davidson in it.
Bodies.
It's
Is there TikTok in it?
It's yeah. Well, and I don't want to like I
You know that the last-
spoil it, but they do it. They have a different take on what the killer is, and I think a lot of movies that like genuinely surprise you with what's really behind the scenes, and it's not just some generic monster or some like normal thing. That's when you walk away like, oh, this movie did something different.
When you talk about that, the kind of thing I would get excited about, and I think this was the first example of it, but I watched it and I enjoyed it, but it was Unfriended. Did you see Unfriended?
Yeah.
I saw
But
that.
the whole thing is just on the screen the entire time, and yet it's captivating. It's kind of like buried, you're gonna cough the entire time, but it's captivating. Like, you didn't seem like too enthused about it though, actually.
I didn't think it was very good, but
You really? Because you've seen probably too many horror movies.
yeah, I also just
Why did it suck? Why did it suck?
It's just boring watching a screen the whole movie. I watched the screen my whole life. I don't want to watch the screen all
At that point, like,
Yeah.
that was, what year, when did you watch? Did you watch when it came
I
out?
watched
Or did
it
you
when it
watch,
came out when I was like a teenager, and
you know, like, I'm already on the screen all the time, I'm not gonna watch this on the screen?
I don't know. I also just thought it was like I like the idea of like people getting picked off in their like private little Zoom calls. Like that's kind of cool. Like in their little windows. Oops, sorry.
Did it take off? Did it do well or no?
It got a sequel. So I'm assuming it made some money.
I just thought it was different. Did they do that before
But
this?
it's not gimmick is the thing, and if you only
What's
rely
between gimmick and new then? I guess like doing it differently.
Gimmick is
didn't
like
work for you, so obviously
doing
it's gimmick.
something new is like it feels like you put a lot of time and thought and effort into something rather than it just being like a, oh ha, look at this, you know.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
What do you
I didn't feel gimmicky in it. I got into it. Now that's what
But it's
cast
also maybe for my generation more where it's like
I want to
You
my
guys-
son
you
is
guys
like
are
only a
more-
year younger than you.
You guys
He
are
liked
more
it too.
like the, liking the immediate gratification type of thing.
or I like
In our generation or my generation a little bit.
But that didn't work for you though.
Well,
You
I
didn't
just
buy
didn't,
Infinity.
I don't know. I just personally wasn't a fan of it.
Was it new at the time though? Was it different?
Not
I don't
engaging
remember
enough.
horror
But different
was
doesn't
that.
mean good. Is the problem.
Right.
No.
True. And hard work isn't good either. Like I hate
Yeah.
when people say,
But also like
work hard on
But let's
that.
dig in a little more.
You gotta have a good basic story of it.
Yeah.
To me, the story is, oh yeah, I can get De Niro, I can get this. I said, yes, but when you read the story without any of those guys attached, is it a good story? If it's not, then you have to go back to it.
Yeah, I think coming from the writing class that I've taken, and maybe you can get your perspective too, is I think it comes down to characters. Is if you don't have any characters, then if your characters, if we don't enjoy watching your characters, whether they're shitty or because in horror movies you can set up a character to be killed, and then we enjoy watching them die because we've seen how shitty they are. But you have to be intentional with how
So
you
that
do it.
same movie, you think it was recast because the premise was you don't like you have a problem with the premise, or maybe you didn't
What
care about the
movie?
characters getting
It was
good.
the premise.
It's just not engaging.
No, I just think a movie on a computer screen is just kind of it just doesn't work for me.
Oh, okay.
I like the cinematography.
I don't
it
think
just
that-
didn't really.
I know what you mean. As far as it's not, you know,
I
it's
like
like a
watching
film or whatever.
cool shots and like transitions and stuff, and it's like
So as a filmmaker, it didn't work for you. But how big of an let's see what it did. Let's
I'm
see
sure.
what it did.
Yeah, but
You're saying popularity didn't save art.
Morbius doubled its money, so it's not about whether it's a good movie. Whether it,
Morbius. What was
that was like the really bad Jared Leto.
Yeah.
Movie.
It made money. That's all that. That's all that studio cares
It
about.
made a lot of money.
If it was you and I were in it, nobody would have made money.
Jared
Leto was in it.
I think
and
there's a lot of
more
horror
girls that want to
movies
go
right
and see
now
it.
that are cool. Like Barbarian was. I don't think it was. I kind of expected a little more, but like I thought it was good. There's a movie Smile that just came out. I want to see that soon.
Mhm.
And they've been doing the marketing where they like go to baseball games and football games and have someone just like in the stands with the shirt on, just like smiling. Have you seen that?
Is this it? This Morbius? The FSB?
No, Morbius.
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 Morbius. That that's a European.
B-I. Yeah.
It was a Marvel movie, of course.
Yeah.
Or it was a Sony movie.
It's only Marvel.
Domestic.
Opening.
163 is not small.
$40 million.
Yeah.
Opened at 40 million, and
How much did it cost?
where they should say on there.
They lie all the time.
You know, another thing.
It was like half. I think it was like
7.5. No.
it was like half of the worldwide box office revenue when I read it. So it's probably like 70 to 80.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know,
No,
but the movie's like notoriously bad. You know.
where do you draw the line? Like, what? I guess where do you fall on the sort of like the line between like show and art? So it's show business. It's not show art. So you have art. What's the
I don't
criteria?
know.
Like you're like, okay,
Okay.
it can be really popular, but it might suck.
Let me give
But
an
like, it can be really
example.
artistic, but if only your mom's watching it, like, does it really have value other than?
Well, I mean, that gets kind of philosophical.
Let's
It's
do
like
it.
what the
Let's
value
do
of
it.
art.
Let's
Yeah.
do it.
So I think a movie like Hereditary is a better example of like good
Of what?
modern
I
horror.
hate that movie.
I think
Hereditary?
Hereditary is the best horror movie of.
Well, Unfairness isn't modern. That was a very specific moment
It is
in
modern. It's
time.
2014. It's like within the last 10 years, you know.
In 10 years, well, modern era, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, what are you gonna do different in 2022? If you do that, you're not modern now because you're like,
Oh, if you do that,
Yeah,
okay,
like,
I see
you're
what
like,
you mean.
whatever, I'm
It
not
is
gonna
the
do that,
pre-Zoom
you know what I
era.
mean? Like-
It is like Skype era. That's
I
true.
guess you could have like a
But
Zoom
I would
board,
say
like,
Hereditary for me because Hereditary
Hereditary.
has it has such. Have you seen Hereditary?
Mm.
It has such strong acting.
2018.
Tony Collette is the main character, and you go through so much grief with her, and so much like, so much wild stuff that you bond with her in a way that I just don't bond with characters normally. And that movie, like Hereditary, is hard to watch at times because of how emotionally powerful it is. Like when she's crying.
It's hard to watch because it's emotionally powerful.
Because to, like,
you have to
Tony
turn
Collette,
away because you're like,
I'm not gonna spoil why she's sobbing violently, but when she's sobbing violently, like you feel her pain deeply, and that's something that most horror movies, like the characters are just not. They don't seem like people. They just seem like.
no, it's, there's distance from it.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that movie has to be like. I like the
Yeah,
old
like
like,
torture
cheesy.
porn and
I
stuff.
like cheesy horror movies too. It's just.
UK.
I think there's so many subgenres within that. You have to really be, and there's so many fans of each of those subgenres. It's hard to like just classify the whole thing as one, paint it with a broad stroke, I guess. But
It is really
like
hard.
horror movies, huge. They
is
did
Hereditary?
But yeah, Hereditary.
8 times more in England than anywhere else.
I have watched a lot of horror movies, and
That's what.
That's
what
number
I have
one.
a big.
or no, that's number two. Get Out. Get Out's number one. But but that's number 2.
What's
This doesn't have the. This doesn't have the.
2.4 million in England, and then everywhere else is like 400.
But I want to see versus how much it costs to make. I don't know.
Oh, just Google it. Google it.
I'm just saying that the popularity of this.
Isn't it, what's her name? Florence Pugh played a major role.
No, that's the next movie he made.
10 million,
which
I
is
guess, so-
Midsommar.
Cost 10 million?
So if it was 10 million to make.
Who did this?
Ari
Lionsgate?
Aster.
Alright, yes, sir.
So
Or,
maybe 50 million altogether, because 5 million for the marketing.
Yeah, at least.
So, and it made how much?
Well, I'm telling you, you watch that movie, you will never look at a lamppost on the highway the same way.
Yeah.
It's not cheap. You have to grow on?
Yeah, what temperature should it be?
400, 450, 400.
Oh,
Yeah, up to 6 probably.
Yeah, so I think making cheesy movies or like movies that don't.
Nobody sets out to do that though, do they?
I mean,
Maybe. I guess
those
it's
like
like a cheesy
B-list
movie.
like horror movies, like I kind of. I would like to make things that remind me of Hereditary or Get Out, like movies that are so well put together, so well acted, have
What was
so
the premise of?
Could you sell it
Hereditary
in the
is
trailer?
about. Yeah, you can watch the trailer.
Or would you split it, sell itself just in the trailer?
I don't know. Honestly, like there's just basically it's about this family that
I don't know her.
it's Tony Collette, yeah, is
I don't know her name, but.
they become. It's just hard to tell. I don't know. Honestly, like, there's.
It's too much of a delay. I figured it's a delay thing. I think I gotta do the trailer on.
Yeah,
he's an
actor
iPad.
too.
I see. Should I just tell them?
Why?
I feel like I can't tell them without telling them about the lamppost scene because it's like basically 40 minutes into the movie, the daughter, the like young daughter, gets killed, and it's very hard. Like it's basically she's heavily allergic to like nuts or something, and her older brother's like taking her to a party that her mom forced her to take her to, and she ate something with nuts and is like going into like shock.
Allergy.
And Alex starts freaking out, or not Alex, Alex Wolff is the actor. He's just freaking out and drives back, and this is all set up by this like cult, but he
Set up by a cult.
she has her like head out the window. That's like run by their grandmother, and she has her head out the window. And there's someone left a deer in the road, and he swerves, and her head's out the window, and they go by this post, and it just knocks her out.
Ooh.
Completely decapitates this 9-year-old.
Oh,
And
oh,
that-
I got a 9-year-old.
Yeah, that is like
Oh,
40 minutes
fuck.
of the movie, and then you process
Oh, fuck.
the loss with Toni Collette, and then someone comes
Oh
to her
my
and is
God.
like, I know a way we can talk to her.
What do you mean talk to the,
So
the dead,
the old
the
lady who
spirit
they're
of
in
the,
there.
That's her. That's Toni
she
Collette's
runs
mom.
the cult.
She's the one kind of putting things together.
but
If
they,
you watch
but
it,
they
you'll-
talk to the spirit of the 9-year-old body of the person?
You'll see. Yeah, they do. They do.
Shit.
But it's really, if you want,
It's a
it's
very
really all
now.
a large thing for
It's a
this
hard movie to
group
watch with
to
dead kids.
Yeah, you saw
that's
it?
that's
Yeah.
right.
It gets
It's so hard to watch.
That
It's scary.
I don't know if
I don't know
And
how I
especially
watched that.
when he drives home.
Exorcist was scary in that way, where I
Like,
thought it was scary.
he drives home and the body's in the back, and he's just like in shock, and he just gets out of the car and just goes to bed, and just you're like with him, and he's like waiting the whole night, and the mom goes outside, and you're like hearing them find the body and stuff, and it is like,
be.
so that
Winter Line.
that is something where like you need to have actors that are ready to deal with that, because that like that was not easy. There's no way. I watched that, and I have so much admiration for the actress. Same thing for Florence Pugh in Midsommar, which is Ari Aster's other movie. He just kind of has a habit of putting character. In Midsommar, the first 10 minutes, her whole family dies because her sister commits suicide with like a car exhaust, and like vents it into the parents' room, and then is wearing a gas mask connected to it. It's a really creepy image. And then throughout the movie, like the image comes back, and you like see her in the trees and stuff. And that kind of like trauma,
Like real disturbing shit.
that kind of
Huh?
trauma is not something that you get in like just a normal cheesy horror movie.
Is that what you want though? You want to be.
Is he like
That's what you're going for.
I want art, you know? And-
Well, it sounds like you want to feel the
That's not
experience.
so
You know
much-
what I
I
mean?
want the
The
audience-
voyeur to like some cartoon.
I
You want
the
to really
audience-
feel the emotion.
Yeah, I want them to feel it, and sometimes I want them to feel happy that someone died. You know, like
Well, no, I get that.
when you kill the right person, it feels good.
No, I get that.
Like the boyfriend in Midsommar. Did you
But
see
sometimes I
Midsommar?
feel like it's not so much a horror you're watching. I feel like you're just
It's so much.
emotionally manipulative. like a lot of Disney movies. Like they just want you to feel either just anger.
Well, that's art, bro. Like what else is art?
Yeah,
about?
but it's
Making
so
you feel
Look at
forced.
the new Pinocchio. It's like, you know, at the end, he doesn't become.
I don't know what is art. That's also deeply philosophical.
That's a
You
really
don't
good
have
question.
to, you don't have to be a real boy to feel like a.
No, you missed the
What?
part. That's why Guillermo. Oh God. Like I don't even. What's that movie he did? The water one.
Oh yeah.
The water one.
Oh yeah. What's his name? The Mexican director.
you-
Yeah.
Oh, Shape of Water.
Yeah, Shape of Water.
Water.
I'm like, dude, what are you trying to say here?
It's funny because I feel a similar way, like where that movie just didn't call me, but I also know people that will swear by that movie. Like they love it and that like cinematography and all this other stuff. And it reminds me that my mind is much more of a writing mind, and I'm thinking about logistics of story, not about like the visuals and like how they like blend together to like tell.
Have you ever been to PA?
Yeah, I've done PA
Like,
work.
I write now, knowing what I know. Okay, this is gonna cost this much.
Right.
This is gonna cost that much on the
You
TV.
Do you
break,
think
break
that-
down the script, and that's, you know.
I'm
Do you
always
think that
love
it
it.
has a negative effect on the quality of your writing to have those kinds
So
of.
personally, I feel like I want to be a black action screenwriter.
An action costs money, so you're not gonna write the script.
Problem is, I personally always keep in mind the budget because I feel like as a black writer, I'm not gonna get so much money. They're gonna give me less because my scripts always involve women or just people of color in general.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm always gonna get least amount of money. they can give.
Even right now, even don't you think you get somebody who'd sign on for?
They're not gonna push those movies in like parts of the world where they don't think people are gonna watch them.
Exactly.
You know, like if you make an all black movie and you put it in France, like are French people really gonna go and watch that?
You have to
I
have.
don't
I was gonna ask,
an
did you get back to this? I was gonna ask about the
Denzel
cultural
or
difference. Did you see both?
Someone,
The
even
lady with
that.
the
Even
red
with
tattoo.
Brad
What's it called? The lady with the
Pitt
dragon
in,
tattoo.
12 Years a
Remember
Slave.
that one?
Yeah.
He was
There's
the anchor.
there's like a Swedish version of that. There's like an
Yeah,
American
they didn't know
version.
anything. It was
And they're
an
totally
action
different movies. There's the
To
European
me,
version,
it was-
the American
it
version.
didn't-
The American version is more like you don't really feel the
I
emotion
didn't do
you're
it.
watching it. Whereas the
Right.
European version, you
Right.
actually feel
Right.
like you're
I'm
in the
just saying,
situation
like-
with that person trapped or whatever.
Yeah.
Versus like,
There's only so
yeah,
much
so
money.
I think that's also
get
cultural.
It's-
difference.
as a writer.
Yeah.
You know, there's only like because
Yeah, so
All
that's it.
technology, you have a lot to work with now. Even if you rate, let's say, $3 to $5 million,
right.
and you can do a lot with that.
Yeah, exactly. But at the
There's-
same
You're
time,
trying to be creative in how you write it because you know you have to work
Just-
out it through expenses.
I have a solution.
Yeah. You're
So
just
say what?
You're white.
like Black Klansman.
huh?
You just infiltrate.
Infiltrate was
Hey, they question me. How the hell you know Greek Street? You know you're not black.
But you know that's
Exactly.
You know the story.
Exactly.
Well, you know what I'm saying? Like, cause God, I write so much. I have probably 2 or 3 projects featuring
Okay.
white men.
Okay.
I know I probably get every dollar they're willing to give if I push that forward. But with the Muslim superhero one, I get the highest remarks of my writing. But we don't know if this is really our thing right now. And you know, I get where the comic book space is very saturated. I'm like, really? With just one,
It's canned answer.
you know what I'm saying? Like,
It's bullshit.
yeah, exactly. Because you're gonna put out. You just put out Samaritan, Amazon.
Yeah.
You just put out
I
Samaritan.
think it was that good either, honestly. Unfortunately, I didn't think it was that
My fault. But
good.
like,
No, I didn't like it.
you know, it's just there's no real heart to it. There's no.
And I liked him too,
I
but
love Sylvester Stallone.
I wanted it to be great, but it wasn't great.
Yeah.
I think you should have had some, you know, shepherding that. You should have had someone,
Like,
a
don't
more
tell
powerful
me.
actor.
I don't agree with Darth Vader, but I understand.
Am I Darth Vader or?
I don't know who's Darth Vader.
Well, it's interesting
Am
about
I
Darth
Vader?
Vader too because Darth Vader is a villain where it's like
The new Western. That's not a bad freaking
you know, but there's some villains that will do good things and bad things, especially
Just the superheroes are kind of like the new Western. Like here, there's a ton of Westerns, and I feel like the superheroes kind of is like the Western. I think it, I don't know.
You know, 20 years ago there was a movie, Wild West.
Bill Lincoln's in it.
Yeah, Will Smith.
It tanked. I mean,
Oh,
Warner
yeah.
Brothers ate their ass on that one. It was like $100 million movie
Movie, yeah.
that they lost.
Do you
And,
think so?
the story was so good, but it should have been now.
Do you guys think?
Too early.
Do you guys think superhero, not superhero, just movies in general? Do you think if they tank, that's most to blame on studio interference, Or
What was on what?
if
they
a movie
tank.
tanks, is that
If a
because
movie tanks.
studio
Well,
interference?
it could be several reasons.
Yeah.
It could be not enough, money behind it. Push it
Right.
into the wrong date they open. There's been, idiots running the studios or
Maybe someone in the cast gets canceled.
yeah,
Something happens.
yeah.
Right.
There's so many reasons it can fall apart. I feel like.
I've seen some movies. I'm
I'm so
wondering.
mad if we made something and then, like someone in the cast just got canceled and I'm like, okay, no one's gonna see my
I
movie
mean,
now.
certain movies, today, I'm thinking that, go back a long time. Blazing Saddles, you could never make that movie anymore. You guys ever see that movie?
What's it called?
Blazing Saddles?
Yes, that was the first R-rated movie my dad showed me. Legendary.
And
Your dad showed it to you. He's like, here, are you ready for your first R-rated
Yes.
movie?
my daughter was somehow came up. What's your favorite movie, Dad? Because she helped me kind of edit a little bit of the dialogue on my latest feature, and she says, "Let me guess, Blazing Saddles, Dad." I said, it was Richard Pryor, it was Mel Brooks, all these. I mean, it was just
so good.
oh my God.
Alright.
History of the World Part 1.
So what is everyone's? So speaking of favorite movies,
Our favorite. We're gonna do favorite movies.
what is everyone's like?
Favorite movies depends on the genre.
You go by genre.
It's so hard. to-
Well, you just
Hey,
can't.
here's Gerald.
You know, I grew up a little bit earlier than you guys. I grew up in the late 60s and 70s when, All the President's Men, Dog Day Afternoon. I mean,
Right.
Serpico.
Great
You
movie.
ever seen? I met the real Frank Serpico. He was a guy who. Did you see the first Alien?
I'd like to
Oh
hear.
yeah.
I'd like to hear him.
I seen all of them.
I love, I like I said, golden age kind of, my first American film that I was passionate about was Easy Rider.
Okay.
Because I love motorcycles and I wanted to see that movie and I was too young to see the movie.
That's a great day when your parents take you to R-rated movies the first time.
No, I didn't
Oh,
ask
you didn't?
permission.
Oh.
I snuck in. My uncle was the projectionist.
My thing was sci-fi. I guess it's Matrix.
Matrix?
The original
Matrix?
Legendary.
Yeah, it's good.
One thing that I think really appeals to me about horror, now that I think about it, is that
It's still in
I
audio.
just feel like horror is where you can push boundaries that don't usually get pushed. Like, okay, I wrote a paper about this, so that's why it's coming like that. But Alien was the first major sci-fi movie with a female lead,
Right.
and a lot of that was because it was like
What was the first female lead? What?
Alien.
Alien.
Sigourney Weaver.
Okay, yeah.
And I think, obviously Get Out is a good example, but there's a lot of examples of horror films that are able to make kinds of commentary that you don't really see in other movies, because you can kill kids, you can do all this crazy shit in horror movies that not even in all horror movies. I guess.
Apparently, you can kill a 9-year-old with a freaking lamppost. So shit, that's crazy.
No, I'm
Man,
telling
they're
you
worse.
that. No,
For
that
sure, I'm
movie.
sure.
That movie's traumatizing, and I think that art should be that sometimes. You know,
Art should be dangerous if you're.
because you feel it with them. You know, yeah, art should be.
But they don't
I
have
think the quotes-
art house
I think
cinemas
sometimes,
now
yeah.
that like they used to. Even 30 years ago, they used to have. There were a couple places down on Fairfax. There was a little small theater that they would show art house cinema. You know, this kind of movies. You know, Lemley is supposed to be, but it's become more mainstream. Lemley's, which is fine, but you got to make money. But you would see these, you know, great movies that, you know, only open on 5 screens, but they were great movies.
Did they last the test of time? So they're great movies. Do people rewatch them 20 years later now? Or?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh
When I
yeah.
was,
Especially
that
with
seems to be like greatness
especially
is
with
kind of measured by
the
time, I think.
what we're technology now, and then Netflix picks them up, and then
Yeah.
and the Hulus and the Amazons, all that stuff. You know, like James Bond. All of this 60 years of James Bond, all 25 movies now on Amazon.
I remember studying film noir in college, and with a great professor who wrote the book on film noir. And I guess film noir itself wasn't even a thing when you're making it. It was just sort of something that, looking back on an era of films that were made during a particular period of time with a different cultural movement,
Yeah.
then became later known as film noir. I think that's
Yeah.
funny that you don't really know what you're making until it's looked back on.
What's the? There's a word for it, like historiography or something like that. But it's like when you look back on something and like apply your own thoughts to it that didn't necessarily even exist at the time, you know. And it's a thing in like I learned about it in history class, or there's a
Or
better
thoughts
word
that
for
just
it.
emerged you didn't understand were even were a cultural phenomenon. Like at the time, apparently it had to do with the fact that I guess a lot of women were taking over males' jobs because they were all off at war, so they were kind of forced in the position in the workplace. And you have this female character that kind of emerges from that, becomes the femme fatale or whatever, because it's
Rosie
this
the
like
Riveter
woman
Yeah.
taking over a
type
man's
of-
power. That there's
Connected to
this
history,
cultural
yeah.
fear of that, and then there's this becomes a character in several films. Then later you look back and you see all those, you're like, oh wow, that you call it a femme fatale, but they weren't doing that as it was happening. It was just sort of like subconscious elements in filmmakers present at the time
created
that
the
then.
tropes.
Yeah, but they're not like they're not intentional about it in the
Right.
moment, right? It's just sort of.
I think it's
cool.
important if you're a movie fan, or any kind of, you know, fan of history, but specifically a movie fan. It's important that you go back and learn from the Lumiere brothers all the way up to now. You know, you learn the history of films and how it evolved over the 140 years or whatever the films are. Don't quote me.
I get it.
Internet, don't quote me.
I get the importance of studying film, but like I've said guys before, like I feel like as a screenwriter, there's certain things I didn't learn from school that I just feel like I should have taught.
Right.
You know, like every line should have a purpose. Even if you're just trying to get a joke, it should still have a purpose.
Sorry, do
Food?
you guys want cheese on your burger?
No,
I do.
It's okay. Lactose intolerant.
Okay, 1, 2,
I'll have one.
3 cheese, 1 no
We're
cheese.
almost ready.
Okay, cool. Well, I think we're gonna stop when we eat because I think this is about to die anyway. So.
One of the things I noticed at Cannes this year, I was an intern at the Cannes Film Festival this year in
Right.
France, and I was in the
Did you guys meet
distribution
there?
market.
No, we talked about it though.
But one of the things that I picked up on there that I hadn't really thought about was that there are a lot of movies that get made and then just never get distributed. It's just never, like, not even showed in 5 theaters.
Right.
That would be like back girl.
Yeah, oh my god, I mean, they deleted it.
That was killed
They
completely.
deleted the movie.
I don't know.
Not even the director has it. Like that.
What do you mean by deleted it? Like off the servers?
The
Like
director
after
said that he went in and tried to get the movie and they fully deleted it off the server.
Well,
But
it exists somewhere.
It must be, right? Like, they
But
threw away
it's
Michael's
hidden
They
somewhere.
threw away $90 million. I don't get it. Why not
That's
just
not
release
their
it?
money, that's why.
But it's also crazy because I believe the bad publicity was because of the actress was doing something.
No, he just canceled it.
Oh, he
That's
canceled
what-
it?
He
There was a rumor about her.
There was a rumor, but then they have this flash
There was
movie,
no-
and you have
if the movies just didn't do well with test screenings and audience. Like he saved money by not releasing it.
Yeah.
Like David Zaslav saved money by not releasing it, and he might sell.
But it's not even his
infuriating.
money. It's the money is Warner Brothers.
But it's his money now. He's
Universal.
But or
His
Universal.
money sells to Universal. He sells to
Unique
Universal.
Monster. I was just trying to see, Jay responded to the whole idea of the horror and what she's doing with her. A unique monster, so that's tough. It's hard to do a unique monster. So if it has a unique monster
Especially
with a villain you empathize with. I like it when everything isn't black and white. You have a villain that you can actually empathize with. It's a little bit mixed.
Right.
I think everybody tries to write with that now, don't they, or not?
Yeah.
Nobody's trying to paint a caricature anymore of
But I feel
good
like
versus evil, are they?
Joker was such a great villain, and I didn't need to emphasize him. I did not need to.
Yeah, but he's not the kind of villain you empathize with.
Exactly,
That's the whole point. Is he's not
I saw Blazing Saddles when I was in
Like
'74.
Mr. Freeze is the villain you sympathize
Yeah,
with.
thank you,
because-
Jay.
Because he wants to save his wife.
Exactly.
And that's why Mr. Freeze is more of a human being, you know? But Joker's scary because he's
He's
chaotic. He's just an architect of
I
chaos.
think Watch Mojo did the thing on possible reasons for the Joker, and he talked about how possibly he was a veteran that the government,
Experimenting on?
No, not experiment, but they just left him behind. Like he didn't get the help he needed. They didn't like all that. Like,
This is the original now?
no. Watch Mojo did like a puzzle on the Dark Knight's Joker.
Gotcha.
And
Dark Knight Joker.
it was like you could buy into any one of the four, but that was the one that stuck to me because being a vet myself, I'm like they abandoned him, didn't get him the help he needed.
Yeah.
They just completely like dismissed his existence, and he wanted to get back at them. So he decided to create a world of chaos where everything is fair game. Like,
Well, yeah, and having something you want to critique is good too, because like Get Out is a very heavy critique on liberals and like the liberal racism, and not like the waving Confederate flag kind of racism, but the much more like, oh, I'm gonna vote for Obama in the third term, like that kind of like having some kind of subtext that you're trying to talk about, especially with the villain. You know, Godzilla is supposed to be like the analogy for the nuke, right? And so,
Okay.
like the original, right? And so, if you have some kind of subtext, it's like, oh, this movie is about a monster destroying Japan, but it's also about the nuclear bombs that were dropped on Japan, in a way, you know? And so, having that kind of, like, subtext that not everyone's going to see, I think is what bumps something up for me to be
Okay.
a very high quality movie.
So I want to bring it. We're going to be done, I think, here in Vix. This is going to die in the food's be ready. But I want to try to bring this back around and end with like something that I'm trying to accomplish that you've identified that you think is a problem in the current market, which is you feel like as a black director, you're not going to give you money. They won't give you money to make your thing as much as they'll give other people money because of whatever. And is it? But I guess it could be immediate. Okay, so sort of like the steps to getting money and to getting whatever for this process would be, I guess it would start with like
Say you're even a black writer. He wrote a script about a black lead.
Yeah.
He might not get the money he needs to make the movie.
Okay, so let me just explain, and I want you to point holes in or agree with or point holes in whatever the process. It doesn't matter with you or him, it's the same process for everybody, which is, in one sense, there's some equanimity to it because it's the same, doesn't change. But the first thing you need to do is get 100 people who like that screenplay to like it.
Right.
So whatever story you have, you don't have one, or you're short turning into a feature or whatever, but like you got to get 100 people to like it. Meaning, if you saw the guys at my table, like at that whatever, they're like 5 old white guys, right? Whatever. So they have a particular taste. Like whatever your story is, you got to have the people represented on our platform that are going to be the audience for that, or it's not going to go anywhere.
Right.
So my problem right now for me is the platform's too small. When it has scale, like I think it only really works at scale when there's a large enough audience, a diverse enough audience, that there's enough of enough people there that are the audience for that film that will like it. We're not there yet. So you would have to bring those people on. That's sort of when I say the writer know your role is sort of like part of the role right now for the writer is to help me gain that audience, bring that audience in who's gonna like your shit without unfairly liking it because they're your buddy or they're your friend or whatever. Hopefully it's like people who genuinely are the audience for that film, who aren't just there because you're your brother, your mother, your cousin or whatever to like your thing. But like that, you just need to, I'm trying to identify, is there an audience for a film? And I want to find as many creative ways as I can to do that, so that we're not blaming. At some point, you have to face like, you know what? I didn't have an audience for my film. Like I wrote this thing, and I didn't find an audience. And that could be the platform's fault for not having the people there, or it could be the fact that you wrote something that didn't have a wide enough audience to make it. And then it does come down to budget. It's like the higher your budget, the higher the bar is set for how many audience members you have to get on board to be able to get green lit. And I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I think it's fair to say if you're trying to make a $100 million action movie, you better bring a lot of fucking people who want to watch the movie. You know what I mean? Like bring it.
Yeah.
If you want to make, if you only
Have to
need
do
$5
$300
million, you
to make
have a
money.
lower bar. Well, you have to find your audience, and that's my job. I feel like trying to find your audience, find your audience, find whatever, and bring them on. So
People love romantic comedies. That's my.
They do.
You know,
Large market.
I had these questions. Sorry, Grace.
we're done.
I got those questions. It was at one point, you know, I had money on the table, contract and all that. I wanted to buy my screenplay,
Wow.
and they couldn't raise the money at the last minute. Yeah, it was a black producer, and she and I, we know each other.